Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. Here, we bring you fun, thrilling, and immersive novels in audio form. With a growing library of audiobooks, there's something here for every listener. Do you like Naruto fan fiction? We have it all. From powerful ninja battles to amazing sage arts and wood-style moves, or even Tsunoda's boobs, you can enjoy epic adventures anytime. Love One Piece stories? Soar through the skies with Moonwalk, sense the world with observation hockey, clash with enemies using armament hockey, spending the night with Nami and Robin, and rise to fame by unleashing your conqueror's hockey. Become a true pirate of the seas. Your adventure starts here. Want even more? You can go full Bankai. Let's go. We offer a wide range of stories, including Fairy Tales, Hunter x Hunter, High School DxD, Marvel and DC, Harry Potter, and many more. So, what are you waiting for? Jump into endless adventures today. We're waiting for you at Novel Love Hearing. What kind of young man was there to enjoy? Damn it. Sure, Haruno wasn't much better in some ways. Despite her cheerful demeanor, she always kept people at a distance. But at least Haruno still had her young man to hold on to. And herself? Sigh. Shizuka let out a long sigh. Fine, let's just go. But Haruno didn't move. What now? We're waiting for someone, Haruno said with a sly smile. Someone else? Shizuka guessed. Is it Yukino? Nope. He's here. Haruno pointed forward, grinning. Shizuka followed her gaze. And froze. Rao? It was indeed Rao, walking toward them in a sharp, professional outfit. Good morning, Miss Haruno, Shizuka-sensei, he greeted with a warm smile. Shizuka blinked. It really was him. Turning to Haruno, she tried to ask what was going on, but before she could speak, Haruno suddenly withdrew her arm from Shizuka's and exclaimed, "Oh no, Shizuka, I just remembered I have urgent work at the office. You two enjoy yourselves today. It's on me." With that, Haruno hurried off, her steps deliberately exaggerated. Shizuka's mouth twitched. Could she have been any more obvious? She watched Haruno until her figure disappeared before turning to Rao with a scowl. What kind of game are you two playing? Rao met her gaze calmly and confessed outright, nothing complicated. Haruno set this up so I could take you out on a date. What? That single sentence sent Shizuka's mind racing with countless speculations about shady deals and backdoor arrangements. Why? She exclaimed, unable to believe that her friend would essentially sell her out. I helped her with something simple, so this is her way of returning the favor. Rao's tone remained casual as he added. So, Shizuka-sensei, are you going to head home, or will you join me for this date? Shizuka stared at him, stunned. Slowly, she processed the situation and forced herself to respond. Can I say no? Rao smiled. Of course. But if you do, I'll just start openly pursuing you at school. That was not an option. She could already picture how disastrous that would be. Not just for her reputation, but for her pride. Even Fuyumi would look down on her. Fine, she relented with a bitter smile. But she warned him sternly, no funny business. Hands off the teacher. Shizuka-sensei, I'm not that kind of person, Rao replied, though her warning seemed to sting his pride a little. Before they began, he rubbed his chin thoughtfully and said. By the way, since this is a date, shouldn't we drop the formalities? Calling you sensei during a date feels weird. Huh? Shizuka was caught off guard. She hadn't even thought about how they'd address each other. Rao took the lead, his voice soft and warm. Shizuka, how's that? The single word sent an electric current through her entire body. Her mind reeled. No one, besides her father, had ever called her by her given name in such an intimate way. An unfamiliar sense of shame and embarrassment flooded her, tingling across her skin. Shizuka? Rao repeated, a hint of amusement in his tone. Her stiff posture and flushed face didn't escape his notice, and he smiled, sensing victory. Stop. Shizuka. She was about to lose it. It was so embarrassing, yet, for some reason, she didn't entirely want him to stop. Caught in the conflicting emotions, she finally snapped, throwing out a quick excuse, call me whatever you want, just get inside. It's boiling out here. Using the weather as a pretext, she hurriedly turned away to hide her flushed cheeks. Rao chuckled softly. Alright, let's go, Shizuka. Ugh. Rao had found Shizuka Hiratsuka's weakness. Every time he affectionately called her Shizuka, he was rewarded with her flustered and shy expressions. What had started as a simple date quickly became far more entertaining because of this little quirk. By lunchtime, Shizuka, what do you feel like eating? Anything's fine, she stammered. She didn't mean anything in the usual sense, she was simply too embarrassed and flustered to think straight. Throughout the morning, Rao's intimate way of addressing her had transformed her from a tough woman into a delicate lady. She was being completely tamed. Then let's go to this place, Rao decided, pointing at a nearby restaurant. Hiratsuka was still dazed when Rao suddenly turned back, reached for her hand, and gently pulled her along. Huh? The unexpected hand-holding left her stunned, her body stiff and unable to react. She was practically dragged into the restaurant, entirely at his mercy. By the time she regained her senses, Rao had already let go of her hand, acting as if nothing had happened. She opened her mouth to say something, but the words got caught in her throat. Rao handed her a menu. Take a look and see what you'd like to eat. Oh. Defeated, Hiratsuka lowered her head and began scanning the menu, pretending as though nothing had happened. What she didn't see was the smug grin on Rao's face. He had her wrapped around his finger. Chapter 170, Drums, Rescue. Do you have any plans for the afternoon, Shizuka? Seeing Shizuka silently focused on eating, Rao took the initiative to ask. I don't know. She gave a vague answer, afraid that saying anything might lead to her acting strangely around him again. Since she didn't offer suggestions, Rao proposed one himself. Do you remember Michiru Hayato? Michiru Hayato. Our class transfer student. Why bring her up? As their teacher, Shizuka couldn't possibly forget her. She's a key member of the band, and they're performing a street show this afternoon. Want to check it out together? Shizuka initially wanted to refuse. She felt like she needed to stay far away from Rao before she did something she'd regret. But then Rao added. She's your student, after all. It might be good to learn more about her, don't you think? With him framing it as part of her responsibility as a teacher, Shizuka found it impossible to decline. Fine. Reluctantly, she agreed, though when she noticed Rao's amused expression, a chill ran down her spine. She felt like she was stepping right into his trap. After finishing their meal and resting, Rao took Shizuka to the street performance venue. By the time they arrived, the performance had already begun. Michiru Hayato was playing with her band, showing an impressive combination of focus and ease. Her skill was evident in how natural and confident she appeared. While performing, Michiru's eyes scanned the crowd, as if searching for someone. When their gazes met, Michiru's eyes lit up. Rao smiled and gave her a thumbs up, acknowledging her talent. Michiru returned the smile with a slight nod. Shizuka, however, felt increasingly like her presence was a mistake. Why did it feel like Rao had come here to flirt, while she, his teacher, was relegated to being a third wheel? But her worries were unnecessary. Rao wasn't here to flirt. Today, she was his focus. Still, a small incident occurred. The band's performance was exceptional, and every member displayed both individual talent and seamless teamwork. Hayato Michiru is genuinely talented at music, Shizuka admitted, impressed. These are probably her former school's bandmates, Rao explained. Huh? Shizuka looked puzzled. If that's the case, why did she transfer schools? It didn't make sense to leave behind such strong connections, especially in her third year when exams were looming. She's the cousin of Tomoyuki. After his accident, her family sent her here to help him deal with his mental health issues. I see. Shizuka sighed. That's unfortunate. She transferred schools, but Tomoya passed away shortly after. Rao agreed, shrugging lightly. Suddenly, his gaze shifted, and his eyes narrowed toward a certain direction. What's wrong? Shizuka followed his line of sight and noticed a stumbling figure. A drunk man. The man's movements were unsteady, and his speech slurred as he hiccuped loudly. Nearby pedestrians gave him a wide berth, both out of disgust and fear of trouble. Unsurprisingly, the drunk man soon caused a scene. He stumbled into the band's drum set, knocking it over. Ah! The drummer yelped in surprise, and the performance came to an abrupt halt. What's this junk blocking my way? Damn it! Who's going to pay for this? The drunk man began shouting, turning his attention to the band. Michiru, putting down her guitar, stepped forward without hesitation. Excuse me, sir, but our equipment is placed within the designated area. You've stumbled here by mistake due to your drunkenness. She frowned, detecting the strong stench of alcohol emanating from the man. You should leave before causing further disruption. Huh? The drunk man's eyes widened in anger, and he switched to belligerent denial. Who are you calling drunk? I'm not drunk. You people blocked my path. Apologize. He reached out toward Michiru, a lecherous grin spreading across his face. Michiru instinctively tried to back away but found herself cornered by the drums. Just as his hand was about to grab her, a loud cry of pain broke the moment. Ah! Startled, Michiru looked up to see Rao standing between her and the drunk, gripping the man's wrist tightly. Feigning drunkenness to harass people? You're bold, Rao said coldly. What did you say? The drunk glared at Rao, but his face contorted in pain as Rao's grip tightened. At that moment, Shizuka approached, holding up her phone. I'm their teacher, And I've recorded everything. Want to take this to the police? The drunk man's face went pale, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Rao released him, letting him scurry away in panic. He seems like a repeat offender. Shouldn't we have reported him? Shizuka asked, frowning. Rao smirked. Don't worry. He'll get what he deserves. Unknown to anyone, Rao had secretly cursed the man. Within 2 weeks, his body would freeze inch by inch until he perished. Rao felt no remorse for ridding the world of such scum. Thank you, Rao-kun, Hiratsuka-sensei. Wichiru bowed in gratitude. I don't know what we would have done without you. Rao smiled. No need to thank me. Consider it a reward for letting me enjoy your performance. Turning to Shizuka, he added. Let's not disturb them further. Time to go. As they left, Wichiru watched them disappear into the distance, a faint smile tugging at her lips. Her bandmates nudged her teasingly. Hey, Wichiru, that handsome guy who helped. He's your boyfriend, isn't he? Huh? No, he's just my classmate. Wichiru waved her hands in denial, flustered. I only casually invited him yesterday, and the woman with him is our homeroom teacher. A teacher? Oh. The girls nodded in realization but continued to tease. Still, Wichiru, you're lucky. He's so handsome. If you're not interested, give us his number. Yeah, me too. Wichiru scratched her head awkwardly. Sorry, I don't have his contact info. Her bandmates stared in disbelief. You don't have his number, but he still showed up? We're so jealous. Wichiru could only laugh helplessly. Rao's visit was unexpected, but thinking about it now, she couldn't help but smile. TCH, you really know how to show off, Hiratsuka Shizuka teased. That was pure hero saves the damsel material. I'm sure any young girl's heart would skip a beat. Especially with your annoyingly perfect features. Rao didn't respond to her jab, merely keeping his calm demeanor. Suddenly, a thought struck Shizuka. Wait. Don't tell me the whole reason you suggested we watch her performance was because you're interested in Wichiru Hayato? It wasn't an unreasonable assumption. After all, Rao already had multiple girlfriends, was clearly interested in her, and Wichiru Hayato was a beautiful and talented young woman. I won't deny it. Rao nodded, his honesty catching her off guard. What? Shizuka blinked in shock at his straightforwardness. But right now, Rao continued, turning to look at her with an intensity that made her heart race. I'm far more interested in you, Shizuka. The heat in his gaze made Shizuka avert her eyes, her composure wavering. Isn't it about time we both went home? She muttered, trying to regain control of the conversation. She was relieved that she'd managed to hold firm in her resolve so far, but her relief was short-lived. Shizuka, Rao said suddenly. The beach is just nearby. Why don't we take a walk there before calling it a day? Huh? Shizuka froze, her brow twitching. The beach? A sunset stroll? Could there be anything more blatantly romantic? Rao turned back to her, his tone soft yet persuasive. Consider it my last request for today. What do you say? Ugh. Shizuka rubbed her temples in frustration. How was she supposed to refuse him when he put it like that? Fine, she relented with a sigh. Let's get it over with quickly. I still need to cook dinner when I get home. Rao chuckled, his eyes glinting with satisfaction. Thank you, Shizuka, for humoring me. Chapter 171, Shizuka be my girlfriend. The setting sun painted the sky with hues of orange and gold, casting a warm glow over the beach. Whoosh! Gentle waves lapped against the shore, creating a serene, romantic atmosphere. Walking barefoot along the sandy beach, Hiratsuka Shizuka felt her restless thoughts gradually settle into calmness. Moments like this, where she could truly unwind, were rare in her hectic life. But despite the picturesque scenery, romance was far from her mind. She glanced at Rao, walking silently ahead of her. How had she ended up in this situation? A mysterious student who persistently, almost relentlessly, pursued her? The entire day had been a whirlwind of teasing and flirty advances from him. Even when he stepped in to help Wichiru Hayato, she couldn't help but feel drawn to his composed and heroic demeanor. For a fleeting moment, she had imagined herself in Wichiru's shoes. Being the one he saved. Her heart would have been racing, no doubt. Ugh! Lost in her thoughts, Shizuka suddenly yelped, her body jolting as pain shot through her right foot. TSS. She sucked in a sharp breath, feeling a stinging sensation. Before she could even assess what had happened, Rao was already crouching down, lifting her injured foot with care. She winced as she noticed a small cut caused by something sharp buried in the sand. Blood trickled lightly from the wound. It's nothing serious. Just disinfect it when we get back, Shizuka said, brushing it off. Broken glass or litter on the beach wasn't uncommon. It was simply an unfortunate reality. Rao, however, didn't share her casual attitude. His tone turned firm. "Don't move." Placing a hand over the sole of her foot, his touch was surprisingly gentle. "Ah." Shizuka shivered slightly, feeling a ticklish warmth spread from his hand. "All done. You're fine now," Rei-ao said with a calm smile. "Huh?" Looking at her foot, Shizuka was astonished. The pain was gone, and not only was there no more blood, the wound itself had completely disappeared. "Is this one of your abilities?" "Healing something like this is a piece of cake," he replied as he stood up. "But I don't think this beach is safe anymore. Let's head back." "Oh. Okay," Shizuka agreed, still marveling at what had just happened. But as she was about to turn, her balance wavered. Not because she tripped, but because Rei-ao had suddenly swept her up into a bridal carry. "What are you doing?" Rei-ao smiled down at her. "Hold on to my neck. I just don't want you stepping on any more broken glass or litter." "Ugh." Her heart thudded painfully against her chest, betraying her attempt at calmness. Trying to regain her composure, she muttered. "I'm the teacher here. Don't you think you're being a bit too bold?" Rei-ao chuckled lightly, choosing not to argue. Instead, he began walking toward the road. Shizuka fell silent, too flustered to say anything further. She could only glance up at his defined jawline, her face burning with embarrassment. This entire day had been a series of overwhelming and unexpected events. Now, with the warmth of his body against hers and the feel of his strong arms supporting her, she couldn't ignore the realization. Rei-ao wasn't just any student. The strength of his build and the quiet confidence he exuded. He felt like a mature man, not a boy. Back on the roadside, Rei-ao gently set Hiratsuka Shizuka down. "Let's rinse off our feet and grab a taxi," she said, trying to calm her racing heart. Awkwardly, she ran her fingers through her hair, hoping he wouldn't notice how flushed her face was. But even as she tried to avoid him, Rei-ao turned to face her. "What are you doing?" The intensity of his gaze made her heart tremble, and she instinctively stepped back. Before she could take another step, he caught her hands in his. "Shizuka, be my girlfriend." "What?" His straightforward words nearly made her heart leap out of her chest. Her mind blanked for a moment. What are you talking about?" she stammered, her eyes darting around to avoid his. Rei-ao remained composed. "I've been clear about my feelings for you from the very beginning." His voice deepened. "If you truly object to me, then resist." "Huh?" Before she could process his words, Rei-ao pulled her into his arms. Their sudden closeness made her heart pound like a drum. And as he leaned in, his intentions were unmistakable. Shizuka knew what was coming. She should stop him. She should push him away. But for some reason, her body refused to move. The next thing she felt was the warmth of his lips against hers. He kissed her. She didn't fight back. And when he deepened the kiss, exploring more boldly, her resistance completely melted away. Shizuka found herself lost in the moment. A sensation she had never experienced before. When the kiss finally broke, Rei-ao cradled her trembling figure, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. "You didn't resist, Shizuka. Does that mean it was an accident?" she blurted out, her face burning. "You caught me off guard. I didn't have time to react." Rei-ao chuckled and tightened his hold on her waist. "If that's the case, let's try again, shall we?" "Wait, what?" He kissed her again, briefly this time, leaving her flustered. Shizuka had braced herself for another long kiss, but when she opened her eyes, she found him gazing at her with a playful smirk, their faces mere inches apart. Following her instincts, she leaned forward and kissed him herself. Minutes later, they broke apart. Shizuka slumped against him, her strength completely drained. Her entire body felt alive, her senses buzzing in a way she couldn't describe. He had completely disarmed her, leaving her feeling utterly powerless. "Shizuka, can I get your answer now?" She shot him a flustered glare, her voice tinged with frustration. "You've already cornered me like this. What else am I supposed to say?" Rei-ao smiled, rubbing his nose against hers. "I'd still like to hear you say it directly." Shizuka's expression softened, but a shadow of doubt crossed her face. "I'm older than you, by a lot. I drink, I smoke. And who knows? I might hit minutes soon. I'm not worth it." Rei-ao gently cupped her face, his voice warm and steady. "None of that matters to me. I've already told you. I want you, Shizuka." He leaned in and kissed her forehead. Before she could respond, Shizuka felt a strange heat rising from her body. Flames erupted around her. "I'm on fire." "Rei-ao, get away." She panicked, trying to push him away, but he held her close, calming her. "Don't worry. These flames are under your control. Just think about extinguishing them." Tentatively, she did as he said, and the flames disappeared. "What just happened?" Rei-ao smiled. "It's a gift. A blessing." My power is now yours. Shizuka stared at him, her emotions swirling. You gave me your power? What's the price for this? There's no price. It's nothing for me, he reassured her, then leaned in closer. And I should tell you a little secret. What secret? Mature women like you are exactly my type. You pervert. She shouted, her face burning brighter than the flames had. You're just shameless. She tried to cover her embarrassment, but he simply laughed. Even if you don't mind my flaws, she muttered. What about your other girlfriends? Surely they'll care. Oh, that reminds me, Rei-ao said casually. I should start calling you Shizuka-chan like Yukino-san's sister does. Why? Without warning, Rei-ao scooped her into a bridal carry. Because one of my other girlfriends is also named Shizuka. I don't want to mix things up. Huh? The absurdity of his reasoning left her speechless. Looking up at his confident expression, Shizuka sighed inwardly. She realized there was no escaping him. Why are you carrying me again? She asked, glancing nervously around. Thankfully, the area was deserted. Rei-ao smiled down at her. Where do you live? Anyone at home? I live at times, and no, I live alone. Why do you ask? Why? Isn't it obvious? We're going to do what couples do. With a snap of his fingers, they disappeared from the beach, leaving behind only a trail of footprints. Chapter 172, Taking Shizuka Down. Oh, I wonder how they're doing. In her bedroom, Haruno idly picked up her phone. As for Rei-ao and Shizuka's date, Haruno didn't have high expectations for Rei-ao. Even though Shizuka didn't have much experience in matters of the heart, Haruno believed she had a strong sense of professionalism. As a teacher, there's no way she'd do something inappropriate. The most likely outcome would be that Shizuka rejected him. Still, Haruno picked up her phone and called Shizuka. The phone rang for quite a while before it was finally answered. Haruno immediately teased. Shizuka, how was your date today? It was. Not bad. This response caught Haruno by surprise. She thought Shizuka would say something like, it was exhausting. Unexpectedly, Shizuka said. Not bad. Haruno's interest was piqued. Seems like you're quite satisfied with Rei-ao, huh? Maybe. Hey, no, I said it wrong. I mean satisfied. Very satisfied. Extremely satisfied. The hesitations and sudden shift in tone made Haruno sense something unusual. Frowning slightly, she asked. Where are you right now? At home, why? Oh? I feel like drinking with you and hearing all about your date. I'll come over now. No, I'm too tired. I'm already getting ready for bed. Ugh, fine. Next time then. The call ended with a series of busy tones. Haruno stared at her phone, feeling that something was off. But after thinking for a while, she couldn't figure it out. Maybe Shizuka really is just tired. She sighed and then dialed another number. It was Rei-ao's. The call was quickly answered. What do you want? First, congrats. Shizuka said she was satisfied with the date. If you keep working hard, you might have a chance. Oh. Rei-ao replied flatly. Huh? You don't sound very excited. Haruno was puzzled. Excited? I'm quite excited right now. Hey, I really can't tell, you know. Not wanting to continue with the small talk, Haruno got to the point. Now, can you tell me who the guy that went to Yukino's house was? Since you know him, he must be from your school, right? This was the real issue that Haruno had been concerned about all along. She even threw Shizuka under the bus to figure this out. However, Rei-ao didn't reply immediately. As Haruno waited in silence, she heard some noise in the background. What's all of that noise on your end? Oh, nothing, maybe someone's renovating next door. Under the shy and flustered gaze of Shizuka, Rei-ao lied. Then he added. As for the person you want to know about, it's me. The other end of the call went completely silent. Excuse me? After a while, Haruno's incredulous voice came through. You're telling me the person at Yukino's house was you? Yeah, we're neighbors after all. We're bound to run into each other, aren't we? Hearing this, Haruno was about to say something when she heard more annoying creaking and clattering sounds on Rei-ao's end. Before she could respond, Rei-ao said. If you have more questions, let's talk next time. I'm busy. And with that, the call was abruptly ended. Haruno gripped her phone, her face dark with irritation. She finally understood. She had been played. To think I'd get fooled by a little brat. Haruno rubbed her temples. Thinking back, it was entirely her own fault for being overly concerned about Yukino, letting her emotions cloud her judgment, and falling into Rei-ao's trap. This incident served as a reminder, she couldn't afford to lose her composure when it came to Yukino. Honestly. She let out a bitter laugh. At least there didn't seem to be any real issues on Yukino's end. It was like a weight that had been pressing on her chest all day had finally been lifted. She decided to take a nice, long bath to relax. As for Rao, I'll have to teach that brat a lesson next time. She stepped into the bathroom, undressing and turning on the shower. Warm water cascaded over her smooth, delicate skin. Haruno felt the tension leaving her body. It was only during moments like these that she could truly unwind. Slap, slap. She patted her stomach lightly with her palm. She paused suddenly, looking at her hand, then patted her stomach again. Slap, 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 slap. The sound of her skin against the water was unmistakable. It was familiar. Not the kind of sound she noticed every time she showered, but a sound she had just heard recently. Where did I hear this? She frowned, trying to recall. Skin contact sounds. Water sounds. Wait. Haruno's eyes widened. It was during her phone calls. With both Shizuka and Rao. It wasn't just similar. It was exactly the same. At this realization, Haruno recalled the oddities during both calls. Shizuka's hesitations and abrupt tone shifts. Rao claiming there was renovation noise next door. When she put the slapping sounds together. Could it be those two? A bold and absurd possibility crossed Haruno's mind. If they were doing something, all the strange details suddenly made perfect sense. What truly shocked Haruno was Shizuka got taken down that quickly? Was that even possible? It was very possible. Shizuka, was it really necessary to react that strongly just because Haruno called? Rao smirked. Shizuka glared at him, clearly flustered. Haruno. She's my friend and my student. I told you, this is unacceptable. And why, of all times, did you have to speed up when she called? You nearly made me lose face. Shizuka complained. She never expected Rao to be such a speed demon. What frustrated her even more was that he seemed utterly indifferent as his metaphorical engine roared down the freshly paved road at full throttle. Suddenly, he hit the brakes. Shizuka, still on her knees, looked up at him in confusion. What's wrong? He smirked mischievously. Didn't you say no speeding? I'm listening to you. Huh? Shizuka froze. At this point, he had already revved the engine, so why stop now? The wind had stilled. The car, too, had stopped. For no reason at all. To her dismay, she noticed the car was veering off the main road. Furious, Shizuka grabbed his arm and yelled. Why are you stopping? Step on it, you idiot. TSK, TSK. Since you're so insistent, Shizuka, I'll slam the gas for you. In an instant, the gas pedal was floored. Vroom, vroom, vroom. The engine roared furiously. The car shot forward like a streak of lightning. This was it. This was the feeling. Shizuka might have been falling in love with the thrill of speeding. Chapter 173, Fast Development Morning. Sakurajima, Rao, where are you? Rao, I'm at Shizu's house. Frieren, you went to Shizuka's place? But I didn't see any system notifications about you traveling to another world. When did you cross over? Kato Megumi, I didn't see anything either. Shizu Aizawa, huh? Rao-kun isn't at my place though. Rao, I meant Shizuka, not Shizu. Miss Shizuka Hiretsuka, my teacher. Sakurajima? Sakurajima, are you saying you've been at your teacher's house all day and night without returning home? Rao, yes. Frieren, I see now. Stella, did no one notice? Isn't the way he addresses his teacher a little too familiar? Stella's sharp intuition told her there was more to this situation than met the eye. Bujujimisako, indeed, he seems to have gone out of his way to differentiate between Shizuka and Shizu. Kato Megumi, could it be? Rao-kun, you and Miss Shizuka. Rao, exactly what you're thinking. Kato Megumi. Kato Megumi was stunned. She never would have imagined such a thing. She had thought her own sister was already bold, but she didn't expect Miss Shizuka to be the same. Hey, are you sure it's okay to say something like that? Shizuka, who had been added to the private chat group by Rao, was utterly mortified. After all, Kato Megumi was one of her students. What's the problem? Rao chuckled. Why don't you look at yourself? Early in the morning, you wanted to speed things up, and I had to accommodate you. He still wasn't fully awake, yet Shizuka, who had woken up first, was already eager to get things moving. So much so that he had to reluctantly get up early and press the metaphorical gas pedal. While doing so, he still found the time to chat in the group. Rao, anyway, was there something you needed from me? Sakurajima, yes, my mom is coming over this afternoon to drop off some of my old belongings. Rao, oh, mother-in-law is coming over? I'll head back around noon after I finish up here. Sakurajima, finish up what? Rao, speeding up. With the Shizuka brand. Sakurajima? Kato Megumi, this. Bushujimisako, so this is what you call speeding up? Well, Yuriko-san told me. Actually, never mind. She told me not to say anything. Frieren, the terminology in your world is so strange. Hajire Kasuga, wait, mother-in-law. Are you saying you've already met the parents and are preparing for marriage? Sakurajima, no, not marriage. My mom and I had some conflicts in the past, and Rei-kun helped me resolve them. Though the way he resolved it was by thoroughly embarrassing her in front of her mother. A bizarre and absurd method. To think it's come this far already. Uegahama Yue, who had been hesitating to ask Rei out, read the messages and felt a deep sense of disappointment as she gripped her phone tightly. It was a feeling of helplessness, as if there was nothing she could do. If only I could be more straightforward like my mom. Yue thought instinctively. Meet the parents? Ariri's hand trembled as she read this. He's already calling her mother-in-law. Isn't his progressing a bit too quickly? Ariri instinctively glanced at Sayuri. It seemed that Rei-au had also met her own mother before, that meant she hadn't lost yet. Ariri's eyes sparkled with determination. Having been thoroughly influenced by Sayuri with the philosophy of to grasp happiness, you must cuckold others, Ariri was ready to seize her own future. But she didn't know what to do now. Her mother had told her she needed to hold hands, hug, kiss, and even. Hey, how is that even possible? How can that possibly be done? Gabriel angrily slammed her keyboard. She had already spent so much money on this game. But why did new restrictions keep popping up, forcing her to buy even more items to solve these puzzles? It was an endless money pit. And now, she was stuck again. The money she borrowed from Rei-au last time was already spent. What should she do? Quit the game? Impossible. Borrow money again? The thought of Rei-au kissing her deeply last time sent a phantom tingling through her lips and down her entire body. No, absolutely not. Blushing as red as a ripe apple, Gabriel shook her head furiously. The price she paid for borrowing money was far too embarrassing. She swore she would never borrow another cent from him. Sigh, I guess I'll just have to keep working part-time. Gabriel didn't want to, but she had no choice if she wanted to keep playing the game. As she opened the door to leave, she passed Raphael, who was cleaning the living room. Gab, are you heading out? It had been a long time since Raphael had seen her go outside, given how much Gabriel had fallen. Oh, just going to work part-time, Gabriel replied weakly before heading out. Part-time work. Raphael couldn't help but think that Gabriel working part-time would probably be a disaster. She wondered which boss would even hire her. When is mother-in-law coming? After finishing his early morning Shizuka brand racing, Rei-au returned home. As soon as he stepped inside, Toru leapt onto him. Sniffing his scent, her nose wrinkled. Rei-au, you smell so strong. That Hiratsuka Shizuka is way too wild, isn't she? Sakurajima-mai's face turned icy. As expected, he reeked of a lustful older woman's scent. It was unmistakable. Waving her hand in disdain, she said. My mom will be here in a while. Go take a proper bath first. Sure, want to join me? Rei-au smirked and teasingly wiggled his fingers. Toru's eyes lit up. Okay. But Mai grabbed Toru's hand and said coldly. No. You're coming with me to the market later to buy some groceries. You can go by yourself. I just want to spend quality time with my dear Rei-au. Toru wrapped her arms around Rei-au's neck, rubbing her face against his like she wanted to merge into him. Mai knew she couldn't handle Toru, so she narrowed her eyes and smiled at Rei-au. Rei-au-kun, what do you think? Hee, I think we should listen to you, Mai. Toru, go to the market with Mai later. Rei-au knew it was wise to take Mai's side in moments like these. By doing so, he could freely use all kinds of moves later. Ugh, seriously, Mai. You always use Rei-au against me. It's so unfair. Reluctantly letting go, Toru stared at Mai with a pout and resentful eyes. Mai flashed a victorious smile. Chapter 174, Demon King's Real Power. At Mai's request, Rei-au went to take a shower. Originally, he planned to quietly wait for Mai's mother to arrive after cleaning up. The main agenda was simple. Have lunch, chat a little, and most importantly, help improve the relationship between Mai and her mother. Rei-au didn't want his girlfriend and future mother-in-law to have a strained relationship. However, just then, a notification popped up in the group chat. Ding. Group chat system upgrade complete. Ding. Single trade retention time extended to 24 hours. Ding. Additional features await unlocking. The upgrade came out of nowhere. Though most of the new features were still locked, the increased retention time for trades was immediately useful to Rei-au. 24 hours. Excellent. His eyes lit up. Previously, the 3-hour retention time often felt too short for him to fully enjoy the process. To get the best results, he had to repeat the trade multiple times. But now, with 24 hours, he could take his time. Just as he was about to announce this good news in the chat, another notification popped up. This time, it was a trade request. From Hajiri Kasuga. Ding. Hajiri Kasuga has initiated a trade request with you. Trade details. Save a world caught in a breakdown phenomenon. Ding. Please specify trade conditions, huh? Rei-ao was confused. What was happening in Hajiri Kasuga's world? Breakdown phenomenon. Frowning, he vaguely recalled something about it. The breakdown phenomenon was a mysterious event in that world, manifesting as intense, large-scale gravitational disturbances. The sun turning black. People transforming into particles of light, swallowed by darkness. The complete disappearance of the surface world and humanity. Hajiri Kasuga had started her day like any other. Just an ordinary morning with regular classes and a predictable end to her day. But then, the unexpected happened. The breakdown phenomenon began. What's that? Students in the classroom crowded around the windows, staring at the sky in shock. Hajiri Kasuga joined them. She saw the sun had turned black. Is it a solar eclipse? No, I didn't hear anything about an eclipse in the news. Neither did I. The bizarre scene caused a commotion among the students. But Hajiri Kasuga's eyes widened in terror. This is the breakdown. The next moment, the classroom, her classmates. Everything dissolved into particles of light and was swallowed by darkness. Hajiri? Turning around, Hajiri Kasuga saw her brother staring at her in shock as the darkness engulfed her. Realizing this was the legendary breakdown phenomenon, Hajiri Kasuga immediately sent a trade request to Rei-ao, though she had little hope of a response. She also prepared to pass her magic tome to her brother. She never expected Rei-ao to respond almost instantly. Ding. Your trade request has been approved. Trade conditions, magic. Ilias fragment. Grimoire, a still manuscript. Ding. Confirm the trade? Rei-ao also sent a message to the chat. Rei-ao, I'm not sure if I can solve what's happening in your world, but I can come take a look. If I confirm I can resolve it, we can finalize the trade terms later. Does that work? He really didn't know. He recalled that the origin of the Trinity 7 story was tied to the breakdown phenomenon. The destruction of the entire surface world, not just one city. Hajiri Kasuga, yes. Harui was already grateful that Rei-ao was willing to help. Ding. Trade begins. Trade partner, Hajiri Kasuga. Trade details. Save a world caught in a breakdown phenomenon. Trade conditions, magic. Ilias fragment. Grimoire, a still manuscript. Retention time, 24 hours. Hajiri. Due to the short trade confirmation time, Hajiri Kasuga's figure was swallowed by the darkness before she could hand over her magic tome. But she wouldn't die. She wasn't an ordinary person but a mage. What she worried about most wasn't herself but her brother. Oh, so this is the breakdown phenomenon? Suddenly, a light shone in the darkness. Hajiri Kasuga turned toward the voice and the light source. It was Rei-ao. But... Hajiri Kasuga let out a startled cry and covered her eyes in embarrassment and frustration. Rei-ao had arrived without any clothing, and his glowing body was incredibly conspicuous. Unlike a live stream, seeing this up close felt so vivid that she feared the image would be burned into her memory forever. Drying his wet hair, Rei-ao sighed helplessly. I couldn't help it, I was in the middle of a shower. With a thought, flames ignited on his body, forming a fiery outfit. Alright, I'm covered now. You can open your eyes. Hajiri Kasuga cautiously lowered her hands. Seeing that Rei-ao was now dressed in a fire-crafted outfit, she let out a breath of relief, though her embarrassment lingered. Rei-ao, unfazed, likely accustomed to such situations during his live streams, began examining the dark, desolate surroundings. He raised his hand, sifting through the collapsing particles. Everything in the area had been reduced to particles by the breakdown phenomenon. So, this is the breakdown phenomenon. Rei-ao furrowed his brows. Hajiri Kasuga asked urgently. Rei-ao, can you restore this world? After a moment of thought, Rei-ao shook his head. I can't restore your surface world for now, but I can stop the breakdown. Raising his hand, he clenched his fist. Freeze. In an instant, the disintegration halted. Even the light particles froze in the darkness. The world fell into complete silence. This is... Hajiri Kasuga stared in amazement at the scene before her. Lowering his hand, Rei-ao explained while stroking his chin. I've frozen the entire surface world at its core. As for restoring it... He paused, unable to think of a solution. His current abilities didn't seem capable of fully reversing the damage. He recalled the story of the Trinity 7, where the original breakdown phenomenon didn't lead to the disappearance of the surface world. Instead, Arata Kasuga awakened the Demon King factor, using its power to create a new surface world. Wait. Demon King. A glint of realization flashed in Rao's eyes. He, too, possessed a mysterious Demon King ability he had yet to fully understand. Activating the Demon King's power, Rao transformed. But unexpectedly, black energy surged from all directions toward him. What's happening? Hajiri Kasuga shielded her eyes as the black energy enveloped Rao in a cocoon. This is... In her astonished gaze, the black cocoon split open. Emerging from it was Rao in his Demon King form. Behind him, enormous wings stretched out, connecting heaven and earth. On his head rested a black crown, absorbing even the surrounding darkness. Rao opened his eyes. Hajiri Kasuga felt an overwhelming pressure, suffocating her. Rao quickly reined in his aura, regaining control. Even he was momentarily disoriented by the transformation. He realized something monumental had occurred. He had become the Demon King of this world. Status updated. Name, Rao. Level, 60. Abilities, Freeze, Self, True Sight, Transformation, Blessing, Demon King, Elf King, Cognitive Disappearance, Mastery of Sword, Crimson Lotus Dragon God, Time Causal Interference, Inherent Device, King of All Things, Possessions, God Freezing Sword, Demons Extract. Description: You possess the power to break down stars and reconstruct planetary systems in an instant. The sudden surge in power wasn't entirely his own. It was influenced by the Demon King ability, which he now better understood. This ability wasn't just a power but a conceptual rank. In any world where the concept of a Demon King existed, this ability allowed him to elevate his rank to match the Demon King, gaining the maximum power associated with that rank. Smiling, Rao approached Hajiri Kasuga. Hajiri Kasuga, I'm confident I can restore this world now. Do you remember our previous agreement? Hajiri Kasuga finally snapped out of her daze. After a moment of silence, she nodded solemnly. I remember. We'll finalize the rest of the trade terms later, but I have one more request. Please save my brother. Don't worry, he won't die. Then let's begin. Rao's eyes glinted with determination. The black wings on his back expanded, connecting heaven and earth. The breakdown energy was absorbed. Or rather devoured. By him. In an instant, the world shifted. The darkness faded. Sunlight returned. The world was rebuilt particle by particle, along with the people who had been disintegrated. Ding. Trade complete, ding. You have received, magic, Ilias fragment, grimoire, a still manuscript, ding. Fusion detected. Magic has been fused with Demon King. Chapter 175, Demon King's Queens, I hate cliffhangers. It's restored? Hajiri Kasuga gazed in shock at the scene unfolding above the skies. Don't get too excited. Your brother is still an issue, and his condition isn't looking good, Rao reminded her. What? What's wrong with my brother? Hajiri Kasuga asked anxiously. Your brother just awakened the Demon King element, but it's highly unstable. If left unchecked, he could be drawn into the paths of dark magic in the future, Rao explained. The Demon King element. As a mage, Hajiri Kasuga fully understood the implications of the Demon King element. And by the way, if your brother fully becomes the Demon King, this world will fall into endless cycles of destruction and rebirth. This was the fate Rao had glimpsed. A destiny of perpetual loops. Realizing her brother could face such a dire future, Hajiri Kasuga pleaded. Rao-kun, can you help my brother? Of course. This is part of our deal, after all, Rao replied confidently. Raising his hand, Rao extracted the unstable Demon King element from Hajiri's brother, who lay unconscious in the classroom. The dark energy surged toward Rao and was swiftly absorbed by him. But then Rao extended his hand toward Hajiri Kasuga, transferring a portion of the Demon King element into her body. This. Black markings appeared on Hajiri's body, leaving her puzzled as to why Rao would do such a thing. Calmly, Rao explained. In the future, you would inevitably be entangled with the Demon King element. This is just accelerating the process slightly. Besides, he added with a smirk. I've decided that, as the Demon King, you'll be my queen. What do you think? A QQ queen? Hajiri Kasuga's face flushed bright red. Rao approached her, gently ruffling her hair as he chuckled. After all, when it's time to finalize the terms of our deal, the only thing you'll have left to offer is your body, right? Don't worry. I'll take responsibility and make you the Demon King's queen. Ugh. Hajiri Kasuga understood the situation. Deep down, she knew that once she gave herself to Rao, she'd likely never fall for anyone else. But this is also sudden. She fidgeted nervously, clasping her hands together tightly. Ha ha, Rao laughed. Don't be so tense. I'm not saying the deal needs to be completed now. Hearing this, Hajiri Kasuga sighed in relief. It gave her some time to mentally prepare for what lay ahead. Rao rubbed his chin thoughtfully. We'll discuss the next phase of the deal later. For now, I need to get back and meet my future mother-in-law. He turned to Hajiri Kasuga. As for the Demon King element now within you, it's not suitable for you to remain in the surface world. You'll need to return to the inner world, right? Looking down at the surface, Hajiri Kasuga sighed. It seems I'll have to say goodbye to my brother. She had long been prepared for this moment. Besides, her brother was mature and didn't need her assistance. Will you say goodbye in person or leave without a word? I'll leave without a word. I hope he can forget about me. Forget? Rao offered. I can erase his memories of you if that's what you want. Huh? Is that really necessary? Hajiri Kasuga asked, blinking in confusion. In response, Rao pulled her into his arms and said firmly. I don't want my queen lingering in another man's thoughts. I'm quite possessive. Shall I erase his memories of you? The intensity of Rao's gaze and the warmth of his embrace made Hajiri Kasuga's heart race. She instinctively nodded. Rao grinned and sent a strand of black energy into Hajiri Kasuga's brother's mind. All memories of Hajiri Kasuga were erased from his consciousness. As for you, Hajiri, I have a plan for your next destination, Rao said. You'll be attending the Royal Biblia Academy. But I'm an investigator sent by Royal Liber Academy, she protested, her innocent eyes filled with doubt. Hey, have you forgotten? I'm the Demon King now, Rao replied with a smirk. Whether they want you or not, I'll make sure you're admitted. Let's go. The reason Rao insisted on sending Hajiri Kasuga to the Royal Biblia Academy was simple, the existence of the Trinity Seven. As the Demon King, he wouldn't settle for just one queen. Taking them all was the true path of domination. Sakurajima glanced at the empty bathroom with a sigh of exasperation. Her mother was arriving soon, yet Rao had left. So, she decided to ask about the situation in the group chat. Sakurajima, Rao, are you coming back? My mom will be here soon. Rao, of course, but it'll take a bit. I'm almost done here. Just make up a reason for my absence for now. Sakurajima, alright. Seeing Rao's assurance, Mai felt relieved. Facing her mother alone still made her feel uneasy. With Rao around, she could remain much calmer. Especially after the outrageous things she had said to her mom in the past. It was hard for her to face her now. Frieren, what's happening with the newbie? It seems urgent. Shino Aragi, yeah, something about a breakdown phenomenon. Sounds exaggerated. In the middle of class, Shinoa wasn't paying any attention to the teacher's lecture. Even her usual surveillance of Yuichiro Hyakaya had taken a backseat. The group chat was far more intriguing. Rao, it's not an exaggeration. Shinoa Hagi? Stella, are you serious? Rao, literally. The entire surface world is collapsing. Think of it as the Earth's surface disappearing. Yukino Shita Yukino, the Earth's surface? That sounds like the apocalypse? Kato Megumi, doesn't sound much different from the end of the world. Kato Megumi, if the Earth's surface disappears, won't all life on it vanish too? Rao, calling it the apocalypse wouldn't be wrong. Suai, does that mean Hajiri Kasuga's world is beyond saving? Shizu Aizawa, Velgrand always said planetary destruction could be reversed, but she also said Rao's power isn't at that level yet. Both Velzard and Velgrand were confident they could achieve such feats. But based on their understanding of Rao's abilities, planetary restoration or reversing life's destruction seemed nearly impossible for him. Yukino Shita Yukino, so, her world is doomed. Hajiri Kasuga, not at all. Hajiri Kasuga, Rao has already restored everything and resolved the breakdown phenomenon. Shizu Aizawa, huh? Shizu Aizawa, Velzard and Velgrand would be shocked. They'd want to know how that's possible. Rao, to put it simply, I became the Demon King of that world and gained the power to reshape it. Stella. And? Rao, that's it. Stella. You can't just sum it up like that. What about the process? Rao, I've got other things to handle. I'll explain later. Frieren, sigh, it's a shame we didn't ask Rao or Hajiri Kasuga to livestream it. We missed the entire process. Hajiri Kasuga, actually, from Rao's arrival to him becoming the Demon King and resolving everything, it all took less than 2 or 3 minutes. Sukobujujima, then it must have involved some kind of mysterious miracle. Stella, ugh, I really want to know. Not knowing is driving me crazy. Mabel, knowing or not won't change anything. I'd rather enjoy some delicious snacks. Yukino Shita Yukino. Snacks are cancelled for today. Mabel, no. What are you doing? Shizuka Kurogane gave Stella a look as she scratched her head in frustration. Humphrey, I hate it when people leave cliffhangers. Stella fumed, her face dark with annoyance. Not knowing what had happened left her itching with curiosity. Aren't you curious? She asked. Nope. Shizuku shook her head decisively. If Rao wants to tell us, he will. As one of his women, it's unbecoming to pry too much. She smirked smugly at Stella. Stella was full of questions. Her expression and tone hit a nerve. What do you mean by that? Stella demanded, veins popping. Nothing much. Just showing off, Shizuku replied with a smug grin. Huh? Showing off? Stella's voice rose as if she'd heard something absurd. Do you think being Rao's girlfriend lets you show off to me? Who said I like him? You're the one making assumptions. Is that so? Shizuku's smirk grew. If you don't like him, why are you so worked up? Admit your feelings already. I think I overestimated you as a rival. I don't need to admit anything. I don't like him, and that's that. Stella clenched her fists tightly, sourness swelling in her chest, though her pride kept her defiant. Shizuku chuckled knowingly. Having watched streams and conversations with Stella before, she understood her personality all too well. Stella was the ultimate tsundere. Alright then. If that's how you feel. As a friend, Shizuku offered some advice, just so you know, if you don't act honestly, you might get overtaken again, Stella. If you don't believe me, just look at Tukatatu. Chapter 176, Royal Library Academy, Bathroom Scene. Tukatatu? Stella was puzzled as to why Shizuku Kurogane suddenly brought up her name. But soon, she understood. Tukatatu had started speaking in the group chat. Tukatatu, reversing the elements, reshaping the world. Tukatatu, so Rao can achieve such feats? Tukatatu, how incredible. It feels like no matter how hard I try, I'll never catch up. Kurano Shinji, you don't have to think so much about it. Rao is special. His power is naturally overwhelming. Kurano Shinji, we just need to keep moving forward. Whether we reach him or not doesn't matter. Tukatatu, yes, I won't lose heart. In her training room, swinging her sword, Tukatatu's spirit seemed renewed. She would take Rao as her goal. Even if she couldn't catch up to him, being acknowledged for her progress the next time they met would be enough. Stella. Something felt off to Stella. Was Tukatatu's admiration for Rao going a bit too far? Suddenly, she snapped her head up to meet Shizuku Kurogane's playful gaze. Hee, do you see it now? Tukatatu's feelings are quite similar to many in the group. That admiration and fondness for Rao. Do you really not know what it might develop into, Stella? Stella suddenly realized what Shizuku meant by getting cut in line. Right. She was supposed to be one of the first in the group. A strange, sour feeling welled up in her chest. Meanwhile, at Rao's home, Mai's mother arrived, pushing 2 suitcases. Sweat glistened faintly on her forehead. Mai quickly took the luggage and brought it into the house, her expression tinged with emotion. It had been so long since she felt this kind of care from her mother. This was a testament to the changes in their relationship. Where's Rao? Isn't he home? Mai's mother asked, glancing around but not finding him. Mai glanced at the bathroom and made up an excuse. He went out this morning. He'll be back soon. Mom, why don't you rest for a bit? Toru and I are going out to buy some groceries. All right. As Mai left, her mother sighed softly. Her daughter now resembled a wife taking care of her husband. Without her noticing, Mai had changed so much. Elsewhere, Rao had brought Hajime Kasuga to the Royal Biblia Academy. Hajime Kasuga, now drastically changed, had the following status: name, Hajime Kasuga, level 15, abilities, Dragon Power, Demon King's Consort, Rao's Blessing, Inherent Device, Consort of the Demon King, Possessions, Ilias Fragment, a still manuscript. Rao had officially acknowledged her as one of his consorts. Shortly after their arrival, a man with silver hair tied in a ponytail and glasses appeared before them. His gaze was fixed solemnly on Rao. Demon King. The man muttered. The overwhelming magical power emanating from Rao left him in awe and terror. There was no mistaking it. Rao was the Demon King, possessing power far beyond comprehension. Yet, the man was puzzled. The Demon King wasn't supposed to emerge at this moment. You're the headmaster of this academy, right? Rao asked casually. Why yes. Shall I greet the Demon King formally? The headmaster responded cautiously. The current world had no means of opposing a fully realized Demon King. Formalities mean nothing to me, Rao replied with a dismissive wave. Besides, I have no hostility toward your academy. Then, may I ask why you've come here? For her, Rao said, gesturing to Hajime Kasuga. The headmaster's gaze sharpened as he examined her. The Demon King's energy within her was evident. Rao explained calmly. Hajime Kasuga is one of my chosen consorts. While I'm away, I want her to study here. Do you have any objections? The headmaster's eyes gleamed with understanding. The Demon King planned to leave? And this girl was his consort? Despite his curiosity, The headmaster dared not ask further questions and bowed deeply. It would be an honor. You're quite agreeable, Rao remarked, satisfied. However, he added. Just so you know, Hajiri Kasuga is from the Royal Liber Academy. I trust that won't be an issue. The headmaster was momentarily stunned. A student from the Royal Liber Academy, now chosen as the Demon King's consort and sent here? Though perplexed, he nodded. No problem at all. Good. I'll leave her in your care. Rao's tone grew colder. But if she's harmed or caught up in any schemes. He raised his hand, and a massive black sun appeared in the sky above the academy. Ugh! The overwhelming magical pressure forced the academy's students to their knees, gasping for breath. Even the headmaster struggled under the weight. Rao retracted the power as quickly as he had unleashed it. You understand my point, he said with a cold glance before patting Hajiri Kasuga's head. With the Demon King's aura fading, he turned to leave. Take care, he said, disappearing into the void. Hajiri Kasuga touched the lingering warmth on her head, lost in thought. The headmaster didn't disturb her, gazing solemnly into the distance. The world is about to change, he murmured. Nearby, a young woman with striking beauty, resembling Hajiri Kasuga, watched with a complex expression. Quietly, she whispered to herself. The Demon King. My husband. A familiar bathroom. Upon returning, Rao's first sensation was the disappearance of the Demon King status and the regression of his power. However, it wasn't a complete regression. Compared to before, there was still a noticeable improvement. Name, Rao, level, 55, abilities, omitted, possessions, omitted, description, you possess the power to destroy planets and annihilate all existence in an instant. A total increase of 3 levels, a result of the magical energy being absorbed and converted when he ascended to the Demon King status. Now that he had returned to this world, the Demon King status had faded. This meant that, in this world, aside from Rao himself, there was no Demon King. The Demon Realm doesn't have a Demon King? This realization surprised Rao. But upon reflection, it made sense. After all, if the Demon Realm could produce abstract demons like Vignette and Satania, it wasn't too strange that there was no Demon King. Besides, both the Celestial and Demon Realms were heavily urbanized. His scattered thoughts returned to focus, and Rao's expression showed satisfaction. At the very least, the trip to Hajiri Kasuga's world hadn't been in vain. However, a significant problem awaited him upon his return. He didn't have much time to think about the increase in his power. Because the space he had returned to wasn't empty. Standing nearly pressed against him was another person. Before him stood Sakurajima Mai's mother, holding a towel, frozen in place and utterly stunned. Her expression was one of shock, her body rigid as she stared at the suddenly appearing Rao. Her mind went completely blank. Especially since it was her first time encountering a real man. One who radiated an overwhelming presence like the sun itself. Rao averted his gaze from Mrs. Sakurajima, adopting a serious tone. I believe this might be a misunderstanding, Mrs. Sakurajima. He thought it best to address her formally for now. It might help ease the awkwardness. Or, if you prefer, I can explain everything. Rao felt it was necessary to offer an explanation, especially given her unique position. Hearing his words, Mrs. Sakurajima slowly regained her ability to think. She forced herself to calm down, steadying her thoughts. She was aware that Rao possessed the ability to appear and disappear without a trace. It was similar to when he had appeared in her bedroom the last time. So, Mrs. Sakurajima concluded that this was likely just an unintentional misunderstanding. Chapter 177, Mrs. Sakurajima's Wonderful Experience, Dragon Knight. Turning off the shower. Sakurajima Mai's mother crossed her arms, feigning calm as she tried to cover the more compromising parts of herself. She forced herself to look straight ahead despite her humiliation and softly said, Rao, I've always trusted you. But, could you leave this space to me for now? The confined space of the bathroom felt unbearably crowded. Mrs. Sakurajima could even feel the faint touch of the rising sun, making her heart race so wildly she thought it might burst from her chest. No problem, Rao replied and prepared to leave. Ah. As she shifted slightly, Mrs. Sakurajima realized her legs had gone weak and she nearly collapsed. Falling in a slippery bathroom could result in serious injuries, but before she could hit the ground, a strong arm caught her. Rao had returned just in time, preventing her from falling. Are you alright? Rao asked softly. That single question, combined with his steady presence, made Mrs. Sakurajima's entire body heat up, and something deep within her seemed to switch on. Acting on impulse, she kissed Rao. Even Rao froze momentarily, caught off guard. But, recalling a similar situation with Yuriko Takagi, he quickly made the decision to respond. At that moment, Mrs. Sakurajima's mind went blank, unable to process anything but the heat of the moment. Until... We're back. The sound of the front door opening, accompanied by Mai's voice, jolted her back to reality. Mrs. Sakurajima snapped to her senses and stepped back in panic. Quick, you need to leave. Mai is back. Rao, casually drying his hair, sighed. I could use spatial magic to teleport back to the bedroom, but don't you think this is a bit unfair to me, Mrs. Sakurajima? Her face turned bright red like an apple, and her expression showed nothing but shock and embarrassment. She couldn't understand the magnitude of his powers. How Mai had managed to handle someone like him was beyond her. Rao brushed a strand of her hair aside with a teasing smile. I can leave anytime, but before I do, you should take responsibility. We can always approach this differently. Meanwhile, Mai and Toru returned home, carrying bags of groceries. Where's Mom? Mai asked, noticing her absence. She could hear the sound of the shower running in the bathroom. Toru, glancing at the bathroom door with an enigmatic smile, said, Your mom's taking a bath. Oh, all right. Let's start cooking, Mai replied, not giving it much thought, and got to work. Toru gave the bathroom door one more meaningful look before turning her attention back to the kitchen. A short while later, the sound of the bathroom door opening echoed through the house. Mai, busy in the kitchen, looked up to see her mother emerging from the bathroom. Her face was flushed from the hot water. Mom, why don't you rest on the couch? Dinner will be ready soon, and Rao should be back any minute, Mai said. Just as she was about to message Rao in the group chat to ask when he'd return, he stepped out of the bedroom, fully dressed. Mai, I'm back. Mai blinked her pretty eyes and playfully scolded. Why didn't you let me know you were back? Now that you're here, keep Mom company while I finish up in the kitchen with Toru. Without waiting for a response, she turned back to her cooking. Mrs. Sakurajima, who had barely calmed down, felt her heart race again when Mai looked at her. Now, with Rao sitting close by, she didn't dare make eye contact and sat stiffly on the couch, her nervousness apparent. Rao placed a glass of water in front of her, smiling knowingly. Here, Mrs. Sakurajima. Have some water to soothe your throat. That gaze sent a shiver down her spine, making her entire body feel weak. Silently, she picked up the glass and sipped it in small, nervous gulps. It was just plain water, yet it gave her an inexplicable sense of intensity and illusion. Fighting her embarrassment, she finished the drink and quickly lowered her head, avoiding his eyes. The two sat in silence, neither mentioning the earlier incident. A silent agreement to pretend it hadn't happened. Mai, who was initially preparing herself to face her mother, suddenly felt much more at ease. She even took the initiative to ask. Mom, this is the first time I've cooked for you properly, isn't it? How does it taste? The last time, Mrs. Sakurajima had only taken a bite of food. And it was Toru's tail meat, no less. Remembering her mother's embarrassed expression back then, Mai couldn't help but feel a little awkward. She hadn't intentionally brought it to mind, the memory was simply too vivid to forget. Especially since Rao had made a very precise comment about her mother, a comment Mai could never forget because of how accurate it was. Even Mai herself felt her mother's youthful charm was overwhelming, rivaling Rao's fascination with savoring unique experiences. Though, unlike herself, her mother had a different flavor. Rao often praised Mai as a white tiger, akin to a mythical beast that radiated authority. Her mother, on the other hand, was described as gentle flowing water, soft and elegant without losing her allure. What am I even thinking? Mai shook her head quickly, trying to clear her thoughts. Meanwhile, Mrs. Sakurajima snapped out of her daze. After what had just happened, she didn't have the heart to savor any food properly. No matter what she ate, her mind kept wandering back to the taste she had just experienced. Something so unique it lingered in her senses. Could that even be considered delicious? The question floated in her mind. Mom? Is it good? Mai's voice interrupted her thoughts. Mrs. Sakurajima instinctively replied. Yes, it's very good. I'd love to have it again. That's great. Hearing her mother's praise made Mai genuinely happy. But Mrs. Sakurajima froze in place, stunned. She realized she wasn't talking about the food. They weren't even talking about the same thing. She had accidentally voiced her true thoughts. Did she really want to experience that again? Her body trembled. Now she couldn't bring herself to face either Mai or Rao. The atmosphere at the table grew quiet, and lunch ended in awkward silence. Mrs. Sakurajima quickly excused herself and left. After seeing her mother off, Mai looked puzzled. Why does it feel like Mom was in such a hurry to leave? Rao chuckled and replied. Maybe she has something urgent to take care of. Toru, on the other hand, kept staring at Rao with a curious look, clearly deep in thought. Mai sighed. Well, Mom did mention she's planning to leave her current job. She might be really busy for a while. Rao simply smiled without responding. He knew the real reason. Mrs. Sakurajima was trying to avoid him. That was fine, she needed time to cool down. Shifting his attention, Rao opened the group chat. In the current world's group, Shizuka Hiratsuka hadn't sent a single message, likely because she was still passed out from the early morning racing session. The rest of the group hadn't noticed the new addition yet. Meanwhile, in Shizu's group, someone was looking for him. Velzard, Rao, are you done with your business? Rao, it's all taken care of. What's up? Velzard, obviously, I want to know how you managed to reshape an entire world. Vel grinned, Humphrey, my man got so much stronger without telling me. I'm furious. Shizu Aizawa, huh? But didn't Velgrind just say she was super proud of him earlier? Velgrind? Velgrind glared at Shizu, embarrassed. Don't ruin my image, Shizu. She snapped. Of course she was proud. This was her man, after all. The fact that he was now almost stronger than her was unbelievable. Rao, the truth is, that power was temporary. Limited to that specific world. Velzard, temporary? What do you mean? Rao, I have an ability called Demon King. Rao, I didn't fully understand its potential until today. Its essence lies in what's known as the Demon King status. Rao, in Hajiri Kasuga's world, a Demon King exists at the very foundation of its reality. Rao, this power allowed me to match that status, reaching the Demon King's limit and obtaining its full strength. Velzard. Velgrind? Both Velzard and Velgrind exchanged shocked glances. Because their world also had a Demon King. They both realized the implications. Velzard, if you use that power in our world, wouldn't that make you the Demon King here too? Velgrind, and not just a Demon King, but the Demon King at its absolute peak. Velgrind couldn't even imagine how powerful Rao would become in that scenario. Even ancient beings like the Lord of Darkness, the primordial red demon Guy Crimson, hadn't reached the Demon King's ultimate limit. Rao, that remains to be seen. I'll visit your world to test it sometime. Velzard, I'd love to witness it myself. Velzard, and if you manage to surpass Guy Crimson, well, you can do whatever you want with me and Velgrind. Velgrind? What's with that phrasing? Velzard, hee, didn't you tell Shizu you got all worked up yesterday and couldn't stop humming? Shizu Aizawa, Humphrey. Velgrind, you. Rao, haha, let's see how it goes. After all, I do want to truly claim you both. Along with Shizu? Shizu Aizawa, huh? Velzard, oh? So you mean all three of us at once? Velgrind, Humphrey. Do you even understand how powerful dragons like us are after centuries of abstinence? We're nothing like Taru, that young hatchling. As ancient dragons, they had every right to call Taru a young hatchling. Rao, but a dragon knight fears nothing. Chapter 178, Sora and Ilya, Struggles of Middle-Aged Woman. Why are you smiling so wickedly? Seeing his mischievous grin, Sakurajima poked Rao in the stomach. Nothing, I just thought of something fun, Rao replied casually. After saying this, he retrieved two palm-sized, intricately designed books from the group chat space. What are these? Mai looked at the books curiously, while Taru eyed them with a serious expression. These books contain strange powers, Taru remarked cautiously. They're magical tomes imbued with magic, Rao explained. The one on the right was Ilya's fragment. The one on the left was Istl's manuscript. Both were obtained from his transaction with Hajiri Kasuga. Ilya's fragment originally belonged to Hajiri. Istl's manuscript was the tome she had intended to give to her brother, Arata Kasuga. Rao recalled that, in the Trinity 7, these two tomes had manifested as human forms. With this in mind, he decided to conduct an experiment. Rao shifted into his Demon King form. Taru's tail instantly stiffened as her instincts kicked in. The aura radiating from Rao was overwhelming. Far stronger than anything she'd ever felt. Ignoring her reaction, Rao channeled his magic into the two tomes. As the magic poured in, the books trembled violently. Reaching their limit, Rao released them, and the tomes floated midair, glowing brightly. Within the light, two faint human silhouettes began to take shape. They were two girls. One had long blue hair, a black butterfly ribbon, thigh-high stockings, and leather boots. The other had long green hair, a black headband, an over-the-knee black skirt, and a reserved elegance. Who are they? Mai couldn't understand how these two girls suddenly appeared. They are the magical tomes, Rao explained. As he finished speaking, the two girls opened their eyes, locking their gaze on Rao. The blue-haired girl immediately dashed toward him, throwing herself into his arms and exclaiming, "Master, you smell amazing." The green-haired girl landed gracefully on the floor, more composed but still visibly excited. She softly said, "Master." "Good," Rao said with satisfaction. They were exactly as he remembered them. "You don't have names, so I'll give you some," he said thoughtfully. "You're Sora," he said, naming the blue-haired girl who represented Istel's manuscript. And Eurelia, he continued, naming the green-haired girl who represented Ilia's fragment. Both girls were delighted to receive their names. Mai rubbed her temples. 2 books turning into 2 girls. It was just another strange and chaotic thing that happened around Rayao. Fortunately, her tolerance for such absurdities had significantly improved. Rayao spent some time studying the powers of the 2 magical tomes. Sora, capable of recording knowledge from other worlds, possesses the ability to construct worlds. As long as sufficient magic is provided, she can create new worlds. Ilia specializes in various support magic. With Rayao's magic infused into her, she is fully capable of engaging in combat herself. Of course, Rayao wasn't overly concerned about their combat abilities. As long as they could warm his bed, that was good enough for him. That said, while Sora and Ilia were very attached to Rayao, they showed little interest in Mai and Toru. It seemed they would need more time to bond. And, ideally, share a bed together. Sora and Ilia indeed needed time to adapt, especially to their delicate bodies that struggled to handle their newfound existence. But Rayao wasn't in a rush. Mai, I'm heading out. Don't wait for me. As night fell, Rayao unexpectedly decided to go out. Going out this late? Mai didn't stop him but pursed her lips, feeling a pang of jealousy. Her first thought was that he was going to meet another woman. Mai couldn't help but wonder who it was that made him willingly leave behind not just her and Toru but also the newly arrived Sora and Ilia. Each unique and captivating in their own way, with 2 of them being unexplored territories. Unable to contain her curiosity, she tagged everyone in the group chat. Sakurajima Mai, everyone. Did Rayao say he was coming to see any of you? Yukino Shita Yukino, what do you mean? Sakurajima Mai, it's just. Rayao suddenly went out tonight, and I was curious if he's meeting any of you. Toru, hee, what curiosity? You're jealous, aren't you? Lonely in an empty room, Sakurajima Mai, shut up. Kobashi, are you worried your boyfriend is cheating on you? Utaha Kasumajoka. Considering Rayao already has a harem like a typical rom-com protagonist, can you even call it cheating? Kobashi, good point. Shin, mommy. Do you think Rayao Oniichan will come see you? Kobashi, of course not. Yukino Shita Yukino, he's not with me. Yukino sighed heavily. She genuinely didn't want to get involved in these kinds of matters. Sano Kamachida, unfortunately, Rayao didn't say he was coming to see me. Otherwise, I would have dressed up for him. Utaha Kasumajoka. Sanogo, can you not make it sound so? So. Sano Kamachida, haha, Utaha, are you trying to say I sound desperate? Utaha Kasumajoka. Sorry, but that's my honest impression. Sano Kamachida, no problem, it's just the truth, and I don't mind. Sano Kamachida, frankly, I'm just being honest. You younger women don't understand the struggles of middle-aged women like me. Sano Kamachida, it's not every day you find a young, strong boyfriend like Rayao. Of course, I'd want to savor it. Shizuka Hiratsuka, I agree. Machida Inko, huh? Who's this? Shizuka Hiratsuka, oh, I just joined today. I'm Shizuka Hiratsuka, a homeroom teacher for the 3rd year class 3 at the General Academy. I'm also Rayao's teacher. Kato Megumi, so it's true. Sensei, you too. Shizuka Hiratsuka, I'm sorry. I couldn't resist after Rayao teased me so much. It's my fault for losing control and making the first move. It wasn't his fault. Yukino Shita Yukino. Eriri Sawamura. Utaha Kasumajoka. The 3 of them couldn't help but feel that Rayao might be a bit too much to handle. Especially Yukino. Sensei got taken down so easily? She found it unbelievable. Her sister had even said Hiratsuka-sensei would probably reject him. The sudden change caught her completely off guard. Sano Kamachida, a kindred spirit. Shizuka Hiratsuka, nice to meet you. Hearing Sano Kamachida's comment, Shizuka Hiratsuka couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie. It was a feeling of shared struggles, a mutual understanding of their predicament. Finally, she had found someone who truly understood her. Chapter 179, Sakurajima I. Seeing the mutual understanding and bond between Hiratsuka Shizuka and Machida Sanoko as 2 middle-aged women, many people in the group couldn't help but feel relieved that they hadn't lived their youth in a repressed way. Everyone hoped that, when the time came, they would experience true fulfillment in their first intimate encounters. Otherwise, they feared ending up in their middle years like Shizuka and Sanogo, seemingly pitiful and craving such experiences. For them, it was enough to gradually immerse themselves in this newfound fulfillment. But for Rayao, who needed to ensure they adapted to this indulgence, there was much to consider. Even just helping them overcome their initial fears required Rayao to prepare the setup with great care. For those who already had similar experiences, these moments would seem familiar. But for those who hadn't, it was an endless source of intrigue and gossip. Utaha Kasimijoka, this is. Utaha Kasimijoka had plenty of commentary but didn't know whether she should say anything. The main issue was that Machida Sanoko's current behavior contrasted so starkly with her previous image. Yumiko Miura, I've only heard rumors about what happens in middle age, but I didn't think it was this intense. Yui Uegahama, but my mom doesn't seem to feel like that at all. Yumiko Miura, well, maybe it's because your family is happy and complete. Yui Uegahama, but I've never had a dad since I was little. Yumiko Miura, huh? Yumiko almost dropped her teacup, startled. She hadn't meant anything by her comment. Seeing Yui's reply, she immediately regretted her words and felt a wave of guilt. As Yui's good friend, how could she not have known this about her? Yumiko Miura, Yui, I'm so sorry. I didn't know about that. Yui Uegahama, haha, it's okay, really. Yui smiled and tried to reassure her friend, but in truth, her mood wasn't as light as she made it seem. Deep down, Yui felt a twinge of sadness because she knew that Rei-a would never come looking for her. There was no relationship between them at all. I'm so jealous. Her expression dimmed. Yui genuinely envied Yumiko and the others. Despite being young, she felt unusually lonely. If only I could be as mature and understanding as my mom, maybe Rei-a-kun would like me? Yui Uegahama, by the way, back to the main question, Yumiko, did Rei-a-kun come to see you? For some reason, Yumiko felt as though she could sense Yui's bitter, longing gaze through her message. Yumiko Miura, no. Absolutely not. Yumiko quickly assured her. Yumiko Miura, that guy can reshape entire worlds. How am I supposed to know where he went? Ayuri Sawamura, then it's just down to Megumi Kato and Hirumi Kato, right? Hirumi Kato? Hirumi was completely confused. What did this have to do with her? Megumi Kato, Rei-a-kun hasn't said anything about coming to see me. Hirumi let out a huge sigh of relief after seeing Megumi's reply. Her parents were still at home right now. She was used to turning a blind eye to things and pretending not to notice, but her parents wouldn't be able to handle even a little bit of that. She was genuinely worried that if Rei-a came over to spend time with Megumi, and her parents found out, it would cause utter chaos. But now, the question remained. Sakurajima Mai, where could Rei-a-kun have gone? Why did I do such a thing? Sakurajima Mai's mother, lying on her side in bed, couldn't sleep at all. Every time she closed her eyes, all she could think about was Rei-a. His handsome face. The contours of his muscles. His athletic and powerful figure. Every detail seemed to be deeply etched into her mind, engraved into her memory, impossible to forget. Especially the moment when she looked up at him from the floor, the vivid sensation of embracing the sun's child burned into her very being. Gulp. She unconsciously swallowed hard. When she had responded to Mai about the food being delicious and wanting more, it hadn't been a joke. Her body was screaming at her, telling her she wanted it. Not just wanted it but craved more and more. No. Absolutely not. Her dazed eyes suddenly regained focus. She thought about Mai. This was a line that should never be crossed. For the sake of Rei-a, Mai, and herself, she had to control her emotions. Otherwise, things would spiral into an irreparable mess. But Rei-a was undoubtedly the first man she had ever been so intimately close to. A man so exceptional that she couldn't forget him. Her only option was to bury her feelings deep in her heart, to lock them away. Rather than searching for someone else or dwelling on what she couldn't have, she decided that her heart and body would belong solely to Rei-a, even if she had to spend the rest of her life alone. Her dim eyes gazed forward as she turned over, only to meet the very person occupying her thoughts. Rei-a. He lay there calmly, facing her. Have I started hallucinating because I desire Rei-a so much? She murmured with a bitter smile. Hallucinations. I guess I can at least confide in them, right? Her expression softened, and she whispered to the illusion, Rei-a-kun, why does it have to be you? Why is the only man I've fallen for you? Her voice carried a hint of sorrow, and her expression grew even more bitter. What am I doing? Complaining to a hallucination? She reached out her hand, intending to dispel the phantom that was disturbing her thoughts. But instead of touching air, her fingers met warm, firm skin. Rei-a's amused voice broke the silence. Sakurajima-san, I heard your confession loud and clear. She froze. Was he real? In her panic, she tried to withdraw her hand, but Rei-a firmly pulled her into his arms. Rei-a-kun, no, we can't do this. Feeling the warmth of the sun's child against her stomach, she panicked and tried to push him away. But her strength was like an ant trying to move a tree. Ignoring her protests, Rei-a silenced her with a deep kiss. The kiss worked wonders. Within 3 seconds, Sakurajima-I went from resisting to relaxing, and finally to responding eagerly. When their lips parted, her face was flushed, and she couldn't bring herself to meet his gaze. Her heart raced uncontrollably, and she dared not resist his advances. Seeing that she was no longer resisting, Rael moved on to the next step, breaking down the walls of her heart. Holding her trembling body in his arms, he made no further aggressive moves aside from the warmth of his embrace. He spoke softly. "Sakurajima-san, I know what you're worried about. It's Mai and the situation between us." That was the core of her concerns. The unbreakable chain binding her heart. Rael gently lifted her chin, meeting her gaze with his serious eyes. "But don't forget," he said. "I'm not an ordinary person. And if I could make Mai accept this, would that ease your worries?" "Eh?" She stared at him, stunned. "Mai? Accept this? How? How could that be possible?" It wasn't that she didn't want to believe him, but it was so far beyond her comprehension. She couldn't imagine the Mai who once threatened her own life ever agreeing to something like this. Rael smirked. "Then let me show you." Ding. "You have granted a target access to the group chat." Rael selected her as the target. This is. Sakurajima was overwhelmed as new knowledge flooded her mind and the group chat interface appeared before her eyes. "Sakurajima-san, most of the people in this chat are my girlfriends. Mai knows about them. And she's okay with it." "Ah." Rael calmly explained the situation to her, particularly highlighting the unique case of Sayaka Takashiro and Yuriko Takashiro, a mother-daughter pair. Most shockingly, Mai was fully aware of their relationship and had accepted it. Mai actually. I was utterly dumbfounded. She couldn't believe that Mai had agreed to share Rael with so many other women, including a mother-daughter pair like the Takashiros. The revelation left her in awe, and she failed to notice how Rael had slowly dissolved all of her remaining defenses. When Rael moved closer, her body trembled, and her eyes wavered. "You," she whispered. Rael brushed a strand of hair from her face and whispered in her ear. "I understand your feelings. I swear I'll never let you down. And as for Mai, I'll tell her everything and ensure she accepts it. Sakurajima-san, don't overthink things now. Trust me and leave everything to me." Rael's words and actions filled her with an overwhelming surge of emotion and courage. Click. The final chains binding her heart shattered. Sakurajima decided to stop thinking so much. There was only one thing she wanted to do now, follow her instincts. Her most primal instincts. But she had one small request. With misty eyes and a trembling voice, she said. "Rael-kun, my name. It's Sakurajima. Sakurajima. That's my name. Can you say that you love me?" She bit her lip, struggling to hold back her overwhelming shyness. Rael paused. It was the first time he'd heard her name. Sensing the deep longing in her voice, he decided to fulfill her wish. Gently, he said. I will love you more than anyone else, and you will belong only to me." The effect of his words on Sakurajima was far greater than he anticipated. Before he could even continue, she clung to him even more passionately, her actions growing bolder. Chapter 180, Fire Dragon Sealed was released, Ojizan, Half-Orc, etc. This must be the village Mabel mentioned, right? After several days of travel, Sui finally arrived at the village Mabel had spoken of. The place looked peaceful and incredibly simple. She could hardly imagine how someone like Mabel, who lived a spoiled, lazy lifestyle of having everything handed to her, could have coped in such a rural setting. And the kind of burden she might have placed on the villagers. No wonder she was driven out. Sui approached some friendly-looking villagers and tentatively asked about the legend of the fire dragon and the god-freezing sword. The villagers told her they'd heard that the fire dragon wouldn't revive again. Because of this, they had driven out the last surviving member of the Ice Clan, who had been freeloading in the village along with the god-freezing sword. That could only mean Mabel. Hearing this, Sui could only sigh. It was clear that nearly everyone in the village held a strong grudge against Mabel. To be hated by so many people. That was an impressive feat in its own way. Since it was already late, Sui decided not to inform Rael immediately, assuming he might be resting. Instead, she set up camp just outside the village to rest for the night. However, in the early hours of the morning, she was awakened by the sound of shouting from the village. Half-Orc. It's a half-orc. A half-orc? Sui jolted awake. In the world of Grand Bahamel, orcs, and especially half-orcs, were not seen as good news. Orcs were generally violent and bloodthirsty, particularly toward humans. Half-orcs, the hybrids of orcs and humans, were also despised and ostracized. A half-orc in the village? Sui grabbed her gear and rushed out of her tent. In the dim pre-dawn light, she saw the village up ahead illuminated by countless torches and filled with chaotic noise. She quickly sprinted toward the commotion. Damn half-orc. Kill it. When she reached a rooftop overlooking the scene, she saw a group of furious villagers surrounding a grotesque figure that resembled a half-orc. They were brandishing torches and shouting their intent to kill the half-orc. But as Sui observed closely, she noticed that the figure was, in fact, a human. Albeit one with a striking resemblance to a half-orc. Just as she was about to intervene, the half-orc adjusted his glasses and spoke calmly, "Everyone, I'd like to know. What would happen if the seal on the fire dragon were accidentally broken?" Huh? The crowd fell silent at those words. The mention of the fire dragon caught everyone's attention. It was a name deeply familiar to the villagers. A legend they had grown up hearing about. But why would this half-orc suddenly bring up the fire dragon seal? The next moment, Sui's eyes widened as she noticed something in the distance. Boom. A massive explosion of fire shot into the sky. Ah! Amidst the swirling flames, a pair of colossal wings spread wide, igniting the air as they beat. A roaring dragon wreathed in fire emerged from the inferno. The fire dragon. Sui stared in shock at the scene before her. The villagers, too, were overcome with terror. The fire dragon has been revived. The God-freezing sword. Someone get the God-freezing sword. But then they remembered. Both the God-freezing sword and Mabel, the only one capable of wielding it, had been driven out of the village. It's over. We're doomed. The village elder collapsed to his knees, tears streaming down his face. His decision to expel Mabel and the sword had doomed their village. In his mind, no one could possibly stand a chance against the fire dragon. Sui, however, gritted her teeth and cast an angry glare at the half-orc who had released the legendary fire dragon. Then, without hesitation, she rushed toward the dragon. Ha! Sakurajima exhaled deeply, calming her breath. It was over. For the first time, she truly understood what satisfaction felt like. Her beautiful eyes, filled with tenderness, gazed lovingly at the man holding her. More than just her body, she felt an overwhelming desire to give him her entire heart. How are you feeling?" Rao asked gently while giving her the final gestures of affection, leaving nothing behind. Resting on his chest, I blushed deeply, unable to hide her shyness. "I'm so happy that I could give this to you, Rao-kun. Thank you for helping me understand what it truly means to be a woman." Rao smiled softly, leaning down to place a tender kiss on her lips. Just as he was about to say something, he froze. Someone in the group chat had tagged him. "Sui, Rao, I found the village where Mabel is located, but there's been an issue." "Rao, what happened?" "Sui, the fire dragon seal has been broken, and it's been released. I don't think I can hold out against its power for long." "Rao, got it. Send me a trade request. I'll be there immediately." After replying, Rao turned to Sakurajima. I need to head to another world for a bit. Do you want to come along and see it for yourself?" "Me? But I'm just an ordinary person. Wouldn't I be a burden?" I, of course, wanted to know more about Rao's world and everything he was involved in. But she was also self-aware enough to feel hesitant. Noticing her concern, Rao smiled reassuringly. "If I can't even protect my own woman, then all this power I have is meaningless. Put on some clothes." As he spoke, he handed her some clothing from his storage. Ugh! Ai's face turned crimson. Rao had casually referred to her as his woman. But since he said it so confidently, she chose to trust him. Quickly cleaning herself up, she dressed without hesitation. Meanwhile, Rao received the trade request. Ding! Sui has initiated a trade request. Trade details: eliminate the fire dragon. Ding! Please select trade terms. Given their relationship, the trade was completed in an instant. Ding! Trade initiated. Trade partner, Sui. Trade details: eliminate the fire dragon. Trade terms: body usage rights, once. Duration: 24 hours. When I finished dressing, Rao didn't leave immediately. Instead, he tagged someone else in the chat. "Rao, Mabel, it's time to send you back." There was no response. Guessing that Mabel was likely still asleep, Rao decided to contact someone else. "Rao, Yukino Shita Yukino, wake her up and tell her it's time to go home." Yukino Shita Yukino, alright. Yukino had been woken up by the group chat notifications. Realizing this was about Mabel, she headed to her room. When she opened the door, she found Mabel awake, curled up against the headboard of her bed. Yukino frowned. "Mabel, you're awake. Why didn't you respond to Rao-kun?" Mabel looked up, her eyes glistening with tears. "Yukino, I don't want to go back. I was driven out of that place. It's not my home." This was the first time Yukino had seen her like this. Mabel, usually lazy and carefree, now looked utterly defeated. Yukino, despite finding Mabel exhausting at times, had grown used to her presence. The thought of Mabel leaving now unexpectedly left Yukino feeling reluctant. But she steeled herself and insisted. "This is not your world. You belong back on your own." Mabel froze, stunned. Yukino. Are you also trying to drive me away? Her expression dimmed, and her gaze dropped. Seeing her dejected face, Yukino felt a pang of guilt rising in her chest. Just as she was about to say something, Mabel vanished. Yukino stood there, frozen in place, her mind replaying the image of Mabel's desolate expression. Boom. In the distant sky, an elf was locked in combat with the fire dragon. Flames and sword strikes clashed in layers of fierce battle. The half-orc who had accidentally released the fire dragon stood on the ground, observing the fight for a while. He noted that the elf seemed to be injuring the fire dragon, albeit slightly. Only when the fire dragon's aura weakened a bit did he cautiously prepare to take action. But a voice stopped him. You don't need to interfere. He turned around and saw a man and two women dressed in clothing that clearly didn't belong to this world. Rayao took one look at the half-orc's face, marked with the distinct features of an ancient god, and froze momentarily. So it really is him, Rayao thought, silently marveling. Out loud, however, he uttered words that shocked the half-orc to his core. Shibazaki, right? The half-orc's pupils dilated in shock. This was the first time anyone in this world had spoken the name Shibazaki. That was his name before he was transported to this world. You know me? You know where I'm from? You know how I can go back? He fired off a string of questions, his excitement palpable. To go home. That had always been the answer he sought. He eagerly stepped forward, but Rayao stopped him with one hand. Your questions can wait. My girlfriend is expecting me to play the hero right now. With that, Rayao shifted his attention to the dejected-looking Mabel. All right. Mabel reluctantly drew the god-freezing sword. Suddenly, an idea struck her. If she could use the sword to defeat the fire dragon, wouldn't she be able to freeload in the village again? Her mood brightened instantly. Mabel hadn't been sad about leaving her friends. She was just worried about losing her comfortable lifestyle. If Yukino, who currently felt guilty about her departure, were to find this out, she would undoubtedly want to slap Mabel twice. Gripping the god-freezing sword, Mabel looked eager to jump into the fray, confident in her fire dragon nemesis weapon. Unfortunately, Rayao didn't plan to give her that opportunity. Taking a large step forward, he said, "Stay here and wait quietly." Before Mabel could even react, Rayao had already taken off and soared into the sky. Chapter 181, Mabel Wants to Go Back. With a swift motion, Suai wielded a massive 30-meter-long lightsaber, slicing through the fire dragon's fire and severing one of its claws. But after landing this powerful blow, Suai was nearly out of energy. The difference in power between her and the fire dragon was still significant, and Suai couldn't fully match it. Monster, Fire Dragon, level 35, abilities. Omitted. Suai was only level 31 herself. The fact that she could even inflict such serious damage on the fire dragon was already impressive. Despite knowing the gap in their strength, Suai had gone all out, pushing herself to the point of exhaustion. Even so, there wasn't a trace of panic on her face. Because she knew what would happen next. A familiar figure caught her midair as she fell, and as if expecting it, she naturally wrapped her arms around his neck. Rayao frowned slightly, scolding her, "That's not how you use your power. Haven't you heard the saying, if you hurt the enemy by 7 points, keep 3 for yourself to escape?" But I knew you'd already arrived, Rayao. Suai beamed with a sweet smile. It was because Rayao was there that she had dared to go all out against the fire dragon. While the two were busy enjoying their moment, the fire dragon, enraged at losing one of its limbs, spread its massive wings and unleashed a wave of fiery destruction that darkened the sky. Rayao's expression darkened in annoyance. TCH. Such a buzzkill. Freeze. With just a glance, Rayao activated his power. Crack. In an instant, the raging flames and even the massive body of the fire dragon were frozen solid. Not only was the dragon's physical form encased in ice, but even the intangible flames were captured and locked within crystal-clear frost. The frozen dragon plummeted from the sky at incredible speed. Boom. The ground shook as the dragon's icy corpse crashed down, sending shards of ice scattering in every direction. Just like that, the fire dragon was no more. It's gone? Mabel stared, mouth agape. Her chance for glory was gone in an instant. Meanwhile, Sakurajima, standing nearby, was filled with a mix of shock and profound admiration. She had never seen anything like this before. Dragons, magic, and the fantastical wonders of another world. Her all quickly turned into pride and an overwhelming sense of love for the man who had single-handedly defeated the legendary beast. When Rayao landed with Suai back on the ground, Mabel was sitting there in a daze, staring at the god-freezing sword in her hands. After gently placing Suai down, Rayao didn't rush to collect his reward for the trade. With the kind of relationship he had with Suai, there was no need to hurry. Whenever he wanted to collect, she would undoubtedly agree, no matter the circumstances. For now, there were two pressing matters to deal with. 1. The issue of Yajuk Shibazaki. 2. Investigating the information Sui was originally sent together. However, before Rao could say anything, Mabel, who had been in a daze, suddenly muttered, "No, I don't want to wander anymore." Her voice grew louder, and without warning, she dropped to her knees and clung to Rao's leg. Tears streamed down her face as she cried out, "Wah! I don't want to stay here anymore. I want to go back to your world. Yukino kicked me out too. I have nowhere else to go. Please, take me back." At the same time, Rao received a notification. Ding. Mabel has sent a trade request. Trade details. Bring her back to Rao's world and take her in as part of his household. Ding. Please select your trade terms. Rao remained silent. So her sudden cries and wails were because she had truly lost her place in this world. With the fire dragon completely dead, there was no longer any need for a seal. The villagers, who had been hiding in fear, peeked out and recognized Mabel, whispering among themselves. If she stayed, she would most likely be driven out again. On top of that, Mabel had grown used to the comforts of modern life. Returning to a world that, despite its magic, was far more primitive, was not an easy adjustment. As the saying goes, it's easy to go from frugality to luxury, but hard to go back to frugality. Even though she was a lazy otaku, Mabel did have a certain charm about her, coupled with the refined air of the Ice Clan. And as Rao always said, as long as they have the looks, it's a done deal. So, he made a bold offer. Ding. Your trade request has been accepted. Trade terms, unlimited body usage rights. Ding. Confirm this trade? Mabel froze, her tears momentarily forgotten as she stared at the trade terms. This. Her neck and cheeks flushed crimson. This can't be real, right? But Rao didn't bother to explain. Instead, he remarked casually. It seems like this world no longer needs the god-freezing sword, doesn't it? With the fire dragon dead, the sword's purpose is gone. Both it and the Ice Clan will fade into legend now, Sui said absent-mindedly, her voice full of reflection. However, those seemingly innocuous words were the final straw for Mabel. It's all gone. Everything's gone. Even the Ice Clan is meaningless now. Mabel imagined herself living a miserable life, begging and wandering with no stability. Her spirit shattered completely. Compared to this, she longed for Yukino's small apartment. A place that was clean, cozy, and serene. A soft bed and sofa. A warm bubble bath. Delicious, comforting food. No. I refuse to become a vagabond. The stark contrast between her bright past and the bleak future was too much for her to handle. In a moment of desperation, she accepted the trade without hesitation. Ding. Trade initiated. Trade partner, Mabel. Trade details. Return her to Rao's world and provide for her. Trade terms, unlimited body usage rights. Duration, 24 hours. Rao smirked. Gotcha. Sui, who also saw the trade notification, was stunned. This is just outright being kept as a mistress, isn't it? Even Sakurajima was caught off guard. She hadn't expected this seemingly innocent girl to go so far just to be taken care of. Meanwhile, the noise from the trade updates had woken someone in the group chat. Frieren, haha Rao, you're really hardworking, huh? Out making trades before dawn. Rao, not just that. I haven't even slept. I've been busy all night before coming straight here. Sakurajima, seeing his message, shot him a glare. Her face instantly turned bright red. Of course, he had spent all night with her. Though to be fair, she hadn't exactly been peaceful herself. Once a long restraint switch was flipped, the result was an unstoppable storm of passion and chaos. It was only thanks to Rao's extraordinary stamina and endurance that he managed to contain the tidal wave that was Sakurajima. Even now, she was bracing herself for a long day ahead. Most likely spent cleaning and recovering. Sakurajima herself wasn't even sure if she could truly grasp the science of water disassembly anymore. Chapter 182, Eating Mrs. Sakurajima, Sui, and Mabel hearing Rao say he had been busy all night without a break. Frieren, that must have been really tough on you. Rao, it wasn't so bad. I got plenty out of it this time. Yukino shida, by got plenty, you mean you scored some sort of unlimited usage rights from an idiot? She seemed quite concerned about that. Rao, that's indeed part of it. Rao, but don't blame me. Mabel was the one crying that she'd been kicked out of her village, then driven away by you, Yukino, leaving her nowhere else to go, begging me to take her in. Yukino shida. Seeing this, Yukino felt a pain in her chest. Her guilt only grew heavier. She believed she was the one who had pushed Mabel into such a desperate situation. At least, that was her assumption. In truth, Mabel had simply wanted to loaf around but couldn't handle the shock of going from luxury to poverty. And because Rao had slain the fire dragon, she lost both, her lazy life and her security. Faced with that sudden reversal, she impulsively agreed to the deal. But Yukino, mistakenly believing she was the cause of it all, was filled with regret and wanted to make amends. Yukino Shida, I can let her keep staying at my apartment. Mabel, really? Yukino Shida, sigh. It's not that big a problem. I mean, the room's just sitting empty. You just have to do as I say. Mabel, no problem. Sob Yukino, you're the best. Yukino smiled. She thought that by doing this, she had changed Mabel's destiny. Unfortunately, she was overthinking it, believing she had really accomplished something. But in the next second, she was pulled back to reality. Rao, touching as your friendship is, I should remind you that the deal can't be undone. That one remark sent Yukino from elation straight back into despair. Yukino Shida, there's really no way? Rao, those are the rules of the trading group. Yukino Shida. She clenched her fists, feeling helpless once again. In the end, nothing had really changed. Mabel, we still have to go through with the deal? Rao, of course. I recall telling you all long ago that a deal isn't about what you have. It's about what I want. Sakobujujima, yes, you definitely said that. Akam, I think it was right when we first joined the chat group. Stella, this chat group is so tyrannical. Rao, it is. After all, it's my chat group. Mabel, ugh, I'm so pitiful. Rao, alright then, Mabel probably still wants to live somewhere familiar. Yukino, Mabel will keep staying with you, and I'll pay you for all her future rent, utilities, and normal expenses. How does that sound? Yukino took a deep breath. Nothing could be undone, so the only option was acceptance. She couldn't truly fix the situation, but at least she could keep it from getting worse. Yukino Shida, fine. Once they reached an agreement, okay, Mabel, let's go find the place where you disappeared. Rao looked at Yakushi Shibazaki, as for you, if you want to go back, then come with me. Yakushi Shibazaki, sure. Faced with a chance to return home, he had no intention of resisting. Where I disappeared. Mabel wiped her tears and headed off toward the spot she remembered. Led by Mabel, the group arrived at the entrance to a cave. Mabel pointed inside, her finger trembling. I slept here that night. Then poof, I suddenly appeared in that alley. Rao, something's definitely off in there. He sensed chaotic spatial energy inside. Entering the cave, he immediately saw a vertical spatial rift within. Mabel, what is that thing? She blinked her clear, crystalline eyes. I'm sure it wasn't here the night I slept inside. Rao, a spatial rift. Although Rao wasn't an expert in spatial powers, he only knew a bit of teleportation. He understood what it meant. Yakushi Shibazaki, eyes lighting up, so I can get back through it? Rao, assuming your world is the same as mine. I can't be certain which world you came from. Yakushi Shibazaki, then let's compare notes. They exchanged some details about various places. The information lined up. Though the times didn't match perfectly, it was enough to confirm that Yakushi Shibazaki was indeed from Rao's world. He laughed and cried at the same time. Ha ha ha. I can finally go home. His mixed expression, part laughter, part tears, looked almost otherworldly. Even Mrs. Sakurajima edged closer to Rao. Seeing Yakushi Shibazaki so thrilled, Rao still reminded him, Rao, this is probably a one-way portal. Once you pass through, you most likely can't come back. Yakushi Shibazaki, that's fine. I only want to go home. With that, he stepped into the spatial rift without hesitation. Ripple shimmered, his figure vanished. Mabel, let's hurry back. I just want to sleep in my own soft bed. However, Sui pursed her lips and shook her head. Sui, Rao, I can't go with you just yet. There's still something I need to do. She wasn't sure if she could return once she left, so Rao didn't force the issue. Rao, you decide for yourself. If you ever want to see me, just drop by at any time. Sui, alright. Blushing, she fidgeted with her sleeve. Then about our deal. Rao, laughing, looks like you're eager now. Let's find a spot for a proper encore, and that goes for Mabel and I too. Mrs. Sakurajima turned red. I'm fine with it. But Mabel was quite anxious. Huh? But. Rao, no buts. No one said you couldn't collect your payment early. Let's go. He casually cast a magic formation over the spatial rift to seal it, then led the three of them away. Sui ended up going twice. Mrs. Sakurajima went once. Mabel, who ostensibly had unlimited privileges, could only manage 3 times before she was totally spent. At that point, Rao had to postpone the rest of his interest. After that rather intense interlude, he took Mrs. Sakurajima, who now possessed his blessing, to do a bit of monster hunting for levels. Name, I Sakurajima, Level 5, Abilities, Dragon Power, Lightning Spirit, Rao's Blessing, Inherent Device, Lightning Flash. At least this would let I get used to combat and have some self-defense. He also needed to improve Mabel's weak body, since she was destined to be his little plush toy companion. Name, Mabel, Level 1, Abilities, Dragon Power, Frost God, Rao's Blessing, Inherent Device, Ice Snow Crown, Possessions, God Freezing Sword. Even so, after just 3 rounds, Mabel was so exhausted she couldn't move a finger, and she didn't manage to level up at all. Rao ended up carrying her the entire way. Rao, Sui, we're heading back. I sealed the rift with magic so that only we can still pass. We don't need monsters crossing into my world. Sui, okay. She gave him a tender look. Once I've taken care of my business, I'll definitely come find you. Rao kissed her, then, still carrying Mabel, took Mrs. Sakurajima's arm and walked through the rift. Under his protection, the pair wasn't affected by the spatial distortions at all. It felt like a brief twist of space, and then the scenery changed. They found themselves back in the familiar alley at midday. The very place where Mabel had arrived before. Rao, noticing Yasuke Shibazaki still there, why are you still here? He looked at Yasuke, who was sitting against the wall. Yasuke raised his head with a sorrowful expression. Yasuke Shibazaki, I have no idea where this is. Well, he had been gone for years, the city had changed a lot. Rao smirked slightly. Rao, alright, wait here for me. Then he teleported to Mrs. Sakurajima's home. Rao, if you have no plans today, get some rest. We really did go overboard. He spoke softly. Mrs. Sakurajima was a bit worn out, but despite Mabel dozing in his arms, she still gave him a deep kiss. After a moment, she pulled away, lips glistening, her eyes damp. Mrs. Sakurajima, Rao-kun, please don't tell Mai about me, alright? She was worried this would impact Rao's relationship with her daughter Mai. But Rao wasn't one to hide anything. Especially since he hoped everyone could enjoy themselves together in the future. He insisted, Rao, like I said, there's no need to worry. Before long, I'll have Mai accepting everything. Trust me. He had a highly effective approach, after all. Mrs. Sakurajima, Rao-kun. She was moved. She knew their relationship was mostly physical gratification, and he likely didn't harbor deep love for her. Still, seeing how much he desired her, enough to convince Mai, satisfied her immensely. Little by little, she'd truly fallen for him. Mrs. Sakurajima, I believe you. Chapter 183, Sumika Fujimiya Ding Dong. The doorbell rang at Yukino Shita Yukino's apartment. After dropping off Sakurajima-i's mother at home, Rao had teleported here next. When the door opened, Yukino was momentarily stunned to see Mabel cradled in Rao's arms. Rao spoke casually. Hey, remember what we talked about? I brought Mabel back. Of course, she remembered. It had only been half a day since their conversation. She had agreed to continue sheltering Mabel. From now on, just tell me the rent, utilities, and any other expenses each month. I'll cover everything. As per their deal, Rao was officially keeping Mabel. Yukino gave him a long, meaningful look. All right. She nodded. She's asleep right now. Should I carry her inside, or do you want to? Rao asked, waiting for her cue. Yukino stepped aside and gestured. Just put her on the sofa. Okay. Entering the apartment, Rao gently laid Mabel down on the sofa. Without saying much else, he turned and left. Now, only Yukino and Mabel remained in the room. Yukino stood there, staring at Mabel, feeling a strange mix of emotions. Her damp, slightly clumped hair suggested she had exerted quite a bit of energy before arriving. As for what kind of exertion, Yukino refused to think about it. Then, something caught her attention. Mabel's mouth was slightly open, and a thin trail of drool lingered at the corner of her lips. Sighing, Yukino grabbed a tissue and reached over to wipe it away. However, just as the tissue touched Mabel's skin, she furrowed her brows and murmured in her sleep, No more. I can't eat anymore. Please let me go. Yukino's hand froze midair. A not-so-innocent image immediately formed in her mind. Her gaze drifted back to Mabel's lips and the very obvious stain of drool. She couldn't unsee it. Her face visibly flushed red. That wasn't just a random drool stain. She knew exactly what it meant. Despite her embarrassment, Yukino steeled herself and quickly wiped it away, muttering internally about Rao's shamelessness. After finishing, she immediately rushed to the bathroom to wash her hands. Meanwhile, Rao had actually done a good deed for once. He had helped a certain half-orc hero find his family. With the information he remembered, it wasn't difficult to locate the right place. Takafumi Takaoka, this should be the apartment where your nephew lives. Rao pointed to the apartment building and turned to Yasuke Shibazaki. Go talk to your nephew yourself. I can't help you with the rest. Thanks. Yasuke Shibazaki gave him a sincere nod of gratitude before entering the building. Rao hadn't bothered explaining much about Yasuke's ability to use magic. He simply advised him to be careful and not to use it recklessly in this world. One confirmed discovery from his trip to Suai's world was that her world, Grand Bahamut, was indeed beginning to connect with this one. However, it wasn't as deeply linked as the Dragon Realm. Right now, only a single, one-way spatial rift had been found. Since it wasn't a major issue yet, Rao decided not to mention it to Raphael and the others. No need to create unnecessary worries. Just as he was about to leave, something in his peripheral vision caught his attention. At the far corner of the street, a speeding car was approaching. Not far ahead, a black-haired girl with glasses was walking directly into its path. She hadn't noticed the vehicle behind her at all. It was only when bystanders began screaming in panic that she turned around. And by then, the car was already too close. Boom. The car smashed into a fire hydrant, finally coming to a stop. Did I just get hit by a car? Am I flying? The girl's feet had left the ground as she was sent airborne. But when she looked up, instead of seeing the afterlife, her gaze met a pair of deep, sapphire blue eyes. An angel. She murmured dazedly. Sorry, but angels in this world don't look like me. Rao responded flatly. Splash. The damaged fire hydrant erupted, sending a stream of water into the air. Rao, standing closest while holding the girl, got completely drenched. Along with her. The sudden chill of the water shocked her fully awake. She gasped, eyes wide. I'm not dead? Rao carried her a few steps away from the flooding area and gently placed her down. As you can see, you're still very much alive. Then, without hesitation, he removed his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. The reason? She was wearing a white blouse. And thanks to the water, it had turned completely transparent, making it impossible to ignore the very prominent figure beneath. Realizing this, the girl's face flushed bright red. She quickly pulled the jacket tightly around herself before bowing deeply. Thank you so much for saving me. She had no idea how or when Rao had appeared, but she was certain he had just saved her life. Rao merely nodded. But his gaze lingered on her face. Being stared at by her handsome savior, the girl felt even more embarrassed. She hesitated before asking nervously, Is there something on my face? No. You're just really beautiful. You remind me of someone I know. Eh? Her face turned even redder. Still, she composed herself and replied, I'm sorry, but I don't think we've met before. Then, as if suddenly remembering something, she introduced herself. Oh. My name is Sumika Fujimiya. Can I ask for your name? And your contact information? Hearing this, Rao raised an eyebrow slightly. Before he could say anything, Sumika quickly explained, I just want to borrow your jacket for now. I'll return it properly later. And I also need to thank you formally. She was still completely soaked and couldn't walk home like this. The jacket was necessary. Rao. Let's exchange contacts. Unlike the classic helping but not leaving a name hero trope, Rao had no issue giving his name. After all, the moment he heard her name, he immediately confirmed his suspicion. Sumika Fujimiya. The heroine of Isekai Hero. The perfect example of a girl who becomes stunning at 18. Now that he saw her up close. Her exquisite features, her perfectly shaped figure, and those absolutely outstanding proportions. Rao couldn't help but wonder, how in the hell did she used to look like that? If he remembered correctly, her younger self was nearly identical to Yasuke Shibazaki. That is, awkward, ugly, and unpolished. A complete mystery of evolution. Her younger brother was just as bizarre. He was adorable as a child but grew up horribly, turning into someone just as goofy-looking as Yuck. After exchanging contact information, Rao casually offered, You don't seem to be in a condition to walk home like this. I'll call a cab and drop you off. Eh? That's too much trouble for you. It's fine. I have free time today. And so, without further discussion, Rao hailed a taxi. They both got into the back seat, and he personally escorted her home. At this moment, Rao had only one thought in mind. She may have looked like a disaster before. But now that she's a fully grown beauty, there's absolutely no reason to hold back. Chapter 184, Rio Futaba. Inside the car, silence filled the air. The driver kept his eyes straight ahead, focused on the road. Sumika Fujimiya, on the other hand, was extremely tense, worried that her pounding heartbeat might be audible. Stealing a glance at Rao's profile, she compared him to her friend Takafumi. Way more handsome. Not to mention, he was a genuinely kind person. And on top of that, he was her savior. A surge of curiosity about him welled up inside her. Just as she was completely lost in thought, Rao suddenly turned his head to meet her gaze. With a smile, he asked, "Is there something interesting about my face?" "You're really handsome." Sumika blurted it out before she could stop herself. Immediately afterward, her hands flew up to cover her mouth. What the hell am I saying? She wanted nothing more than to slap herself for acting like a love-struck fool. Rao, however, took the compliment in stride, his expression completely composed. Casually, he changed the topic. "Are you a university student?" "I'm in university." Sumika nodded eagerly. Then she turned the question back on him. "What about you, Rao? Are you a university student too?" "Not yet. I'll start next year." "Eh?" Sumika was genuinely surprised. Rao carried himself so maturely, she had assumed he was older than her. Not younger. Wait. You're younger than me? A phrase popped into her mind. Younger guy? Wait, what am I even thinking? Sumika, you perv. Mentally, she scolded herself harshly. On the surface, however, she continued chatting with Rao in a relaxed manner. After a while, she noticed something strange. She glanced at Rao, then back at herself. After a few seconds of hesitation, she finally voiced her confusion. "Rao, how come? You're not wet at all?" "Maybe I just got lucky." Rao gave a vague response. If ordinary water could soak him, that'd be a real problem. "Oh, I see." Sumika didn't press further. Not long after, they arrived at her house. Before stepping out of the car, Sumika looked at Rao seriously. "I promise I'll clean your jacket properly and return it to you." She stood outside, watching as Rao's taxi drove off into the distance before heading back inside. Originally, Rao had planned to return home after leaving an impression on Sumika. But on the way, he received a surprising message. "Rio Futaba, are you there? She's texting me?" Rao was momentarily caught off guard. Still, he quickly replied. "Rao, yeah, what's up? Just tell me directly." "Rio Futaba, alright. Rio Futaba, I have been replaced by me." At first glance, the message was bizarrely phrased. But given what Rao knew about her situation, he instantly understood what she meant. "Rao, you mean you've fully taken over her life?" "Rio Futaba, that's right. Rio Futaba, you can call me selfish, but I wanted to experience what it really means to be alive." "Rao, I wouldn't call that selfish. Everyone has things they want to do in life. Rao, as long as you're not posting questionable pictures online for attention, I won't judge you." "Rio Futaba, oh? So you're really that possessive about other people seeing me?" "Rao, of course. Rao, I told you before, from the moment I laid eyes on you two, I decided to have you both. So yeah, I'm very possessive." "Rio Futaba, wow, you're really a confident and domineering bastard." Despite her words, the real Rio Futaba was lying on her bed, smirking as she texted. His direct and unapologetic attention was far more exciting than any generic admiration from random strangers. And between being popular and being desired by Rao, she chose the latter. After a pause, she sent another message. "Rio Futaba, the other me is too soft-hearted. She's homeless now, totally pitiful." "Rao, hey. So that's what you really wanted to tell me?" "Rao, just say it. What do you want me to do for her?" Rao didn't believe that the outgoing Rio Futaba had intentionally kicked out her introverted self with any malicious intent. After all, the shy Rio was kind-hearted, to the point that she chose to leave home herself rather than expose the truth. Likewise, the outgoing Rio wasn't cruel either. Apart from their personalities, they were still the same person. A person's behavior might change, but their nature did not. "Rio Futaba, I know I might disappear someday. But while I'm here, I want to really live. Rio Futaba, so I guess the other me has to suffer a little for now. Rio Futaba, she should be at XX location right now. Rio Futaba, you said you wanted her too, right? Well, if you really do, then you can't let her be in danger. Rao-kun Rao, you sure about handing her over to me? Don't regret it later." Rao chuckled. She was basically hand-delivering a lamb to the lion's den. He couldn't believe she was doing this voluntarily. Rao turned to the driver and said, "Change of destination." "Regret?" Rio Futaba put down her phone. She stretched out on the bed in a starfish position, staring at the ceiling light as if she could see another version of herself reflected there. "I won't regret it. Sorry, other me, I don't know if love at first sight is real, but I want to respond to him." At the park, the creaking of a swing echoed softly in the quiet night. A lone figure sat on it, gently swaying back and forth, occasionally sighing. Ryo Futaba felt lost. She had seen another version of herself. And that version had completely taken over her life. Now, she was homeless. She had nowhere to go. Where should I even go? She still had some money on her, enough to stay at a motel or an inn for a while. But then what? How would she face her other self? How could she see her again without causing a scene? And most importantly, where should she even begin trying to analyze what's happening? Why had another version of herself appeared in the first place? The sheer complexity of the situation gave her a headache. Ryo Futaba. A voice suddenly called her name, breaking her train of thought. She looked up in confusion. Standing before her was someone she didn't recognize. Yet, at the same time, he seemed vaguely familiar. Were you calling me? Ryo glanced around. It looks like there's no one else here but us. From a scientific perspective, wouldn't that mean I must be the one talking to you? Hearing the word science, Ryo Futaba instinctively adjusted her glasses, her expression turning serious. Not necessarily. Oh? There's a probability that this is just my auditory hallucination. Or perhaps quantum mechanics at play. Ryo twitched the corner of his mouth. Classic. When in doubt, blame quantum mechanics. Ryo Futaba found his words strangely familiar and couldn't help but ask, who are you? How do you know my name? And why do you act like you know me so well? You have a lot of questions, and I can answer every single one of them. Seeing the intense curiosity in her eyes, Ryo smiled and suggested, but this isn't the best place for a proper conversation. Why don't we go somewhere else and talk? Ryo Futaba instinctively stepped back, wary. Relax. Ryo reassured her casually. I was thinking a cafe. It'll be full of people. Nothing to be afraid of. Then, with a teasing smirk, he added, besides, if I really had bad intentions, wouldn't an empty park like this be the best place to act? Her eyes flickered behind her glasses as she thought it over. A moment later, Ryo Futaba nodded. All right, let's go. Meanwhile, while Ryo was picking up another girl, Sumika Fujimiya had just finished her shower. She stood in her room, staring blankly at Ryo's jacket in her hands. Her mind wandered back to every moment she had spent with him earlier. For the first time, she felt like her childhood friend Takafumi wasn't so appealing anymore. Ah, sis, why are you holding a guy's jacket? A curious voice interrupted her thoughts. Sumika turned to see her younger brother, Kiyaki Fujimiya, walking over. Despite being younger than her, he was taller and had a head full of red hair that made him look oddly mature. Ah. This. Caught off guard, Sumika panicked and tried to think of an excuse. Kiyaki, however, jumped to his own conclusion first. Did you buy this for me? No. Definitely not. Sumika's sharp, immediate response made it absolutely clear. Her voice was so fierce and urgent that even she was surprised by her own reaction. Kiyaki, however, didn't seem too upset. Instead, he scratched the back of his red hair in confusion. That's disappointing. But now I'm even more curious. Why are you holding a men's jacket, sis? Ahem. Sumika cleared her throat and delivered the excuse she had prepared. I just wanted to try a different style of fashion. Oh, I see. Kiyaki immediately lost interest. I thought you were giving it to someone. Then, as if making an innocent remark, he added, but honestly, sis, I don't think men's clothes suit you that well. Your chest muscles are too big? See chest muscles? A vein popped on Sumika's forehead. Why does my little brother look so mature on the outside? But have the IQ of a brick? Did he really think her breasts were just useless chest muscles? Forget it. Getting mad at her idiot little brother was pointless. She let out a deep breath. Kiyaki. Her voice turned strict. Go do your homework. Ugh. Homework is the worst. The moment he heard that dreaded word, all the energy drained from his body. However, seeing the deadly serious look in his sister's eyes, he reluctantly shuffled toward his room. Once Kiyaki left, Sumika let out a sigh of relief. Then, with a glance at the jacket in her hands, she blushed slightly and tossed it into the washing machine. After setting it to wash, she grabbed her phone and sent a message to her best friend from university. Sumika Fujimiya, Sui, you there? Sui, I'm here. What's up? Sumika Fujimiya, I have something I want to share with you. Sui, ooh, I love gossip. Spill it. Chapter 185, I like you, the other you, but basically you. Sumika Fujimiya shared everything that had happened to her not long ago with her best friend and close confidant. Sui, what? A car accident? Sumika, are you hurt? Do you need me to go to the hospital to see you? Seeing how genuinely worried her friend was, Sumika smiled warmly. Sumika Fujimiya, don't worry, thanks to Rao, I didn't even get a scratch. So wait, that's a relief. So wait, Rao. That's the underclassman you said saved you and even sent you home, right? Sumika Fujimiya. He's younger than me, but he looks so mature and reliable. And he's also young and handsome. So wait, oh? So wait, sounds like you're pretty impressed with this underclassman. Could it be that you've taken a liking to him? Are you into younger guys? Sumika Fujimiya's face instantly turned red. Sumika Fujimiya, what are you even saying? Where did that come from, you weird big sister? So wait, he. So wait, I think you should go for it if you like him. Honestly, that childhood friend of yours, Takafumi? He's a total blockhead. There's no way he's a good match for you. Sumika Fujimiya. You really think so? So wait, of course. So wait, and besides, the fact that you're even telling me all this means you already have some feelings for him, right? He. Ugh. Sumika felt a little dazed. It was as if Sui had completely seen through her. Younger guys, huh? Staring at the washing machine as it spun, Sumika wasn't sure what she was thinking anymore. Meanwhile, Rao and Ryo Futaba arrived at a cafe. As soon as they sat down, a tired-sounding voice greeted them. What would you two like to drink? Gabriel? Huh? Hearing her name, Gabriel turned her head. Rao? She was stunned. What was he doing at her part-time job? Rao smirked as he glanced over her waitress uniform, teasing, looks like you finally decided to be productive, huh? Working part-time again? Gabriel twitched at his words. She hadn't suddenly become diligent. She was just broke and too scared to ask Rao for money again. But of all people, why did he have to show up here? Now, the temptation to ask for money was creeping back. No. I have to hold on. Perseverance is victory. Gabrielle mentally hyped herself up. She could not afford to fall into the debt trap of Rao's loans. She had heard of shady online loans in this world. And even worse. Naked loans. Where people ended up ruined for life. To Gabrielle, borrowing money from Rao was almost the same thing. The last time, she had only borrowed a little, and she had to pay him back with a deep, paralyzing kiss that left her whole body numb. Who knew what he would ask for next? Seeing Gabriel stiffly silent, Rao didn't push further. He simply ordered the cafe's signature coffee and turned to Ryo Futaba. What about you? What kind of coffee do you want? Same as you. Alright, 2 signature coffees, then. Got it. 2 signature coffees. Coming right up, Gabriel quickly walked away, desperate to escape the situation. A few minutes later, she returned and placed the drinks on the table. She left immediately after. With the drinks served, Rao finally got to the main topic. Regarding your questions, I'll answer them. But before that, I need to tell you something first. Ryo Futaba adjusted her glasses. What is it? Her mind was already racing, considering all possible explanations. But what Rao said next was completely beyond her expectations. I've met the other you. Ryo Futaba's eyes widened in shock. Before quickly returning to normal. She took a moment of silence, then lifted her coffee cup and took a small sip. Finally, she spoke. So, you know she exists? Rao calmly nodded. That's right. Remember the day we saw each other in the lab? Yeah. Ryo Futaba had already realized why Rao looked familiar to her. That day at noon, she had briefly glanced at him through the lab door. Not long after that, I saw another version of you at the staircase. So, she had already appeared back then? Ryo Futaba was stunned. She hadn't expected that the other her had been around for that long. And she only noticed much later. This realization unnerved her. What if the other her had done something without her knowing? Do you know what she was doing back then? Rao nodded. I do. After talking to her for a bit, I got a better understanding of your situation. You should actually be thanking me. Thank you? Ryo Futaba raised an eyebrow. That's right. Rao then explained what had happened that day. Especially what the other Ryo Futaba had been planning to do to attract attention. Ryo Futaba fell silent, her grip on her coffee cup tightening. Hearing that the other her had planned to post pictures online, Ryo Futaba tensed up, gripping her coffee cup tightly. If those photos ended up online, they would be seen and judged. If her classmates at school found out, she couldn't even begin to imagine what would happen. Thankfully, Rao noticed how anxious she was and reassured her. Relax. I already stopped her back then and corrected her way of thinking. Thank goodness. Hearing that, Ryo Futaba finally felt relieved. She sincerely thanked him. Thank you for stopping her. However, her expression soon turned serious. So, who exactly are you? And what do you actually know? Rao, a student from class 3-3. After introducing himself, Rao met her gaze, speaking with a hint of mystery. What I need to tell you next is this. She is you. She exists because of you. Me? That's right. You're familiar with the concept of a second personality, aren't you? Are you saying she's my second personality? Ryo Futaba understood what a second personality meant. But why would a second personality become an entirely independent person? That's not scientific. Ryo shook his finger. Not scientific? Hey. He chuckled, teasing, isn't quantum mechanics also science? Ryo Futaba had no rebuttal. If quantum mechanics was involved, then this situation wasn't too surprising. Of course, from my perspective, this is a condition called adolescence syndrome. A disorder that is also an incomplete form of superpower. I've met other people who have experienced it before. A disorder and a superpower. Ryo Futaba pondered for a moment before asking, what causes this condition? It stems from the worries and struggles of adolescence. Ryo smiled knowingly. You should be aware of your own issues, right? Ryo Futaba fell silent. She wasn't sure if she didn't know the answer. Or if she didn't want to admit it. Ryo held up 2 fingers. She is the personality you subconsciously desire to have. Everything you lack. She has. She's outgoing, independent, and seeks attention. Which means you, deep down, are introverted, solitary. Yet longing for change. That is the nature of your adolescence syndrome. Ryo Futaba stared at Ryo, studying him carefully. How did he understand her so well? Then, Ryo continued. And the reason I found you is simple. The other you asked me to help you. He told her everything. There was no need to hide it. But this only gave rise to more questions. Why? Isn't she trying to replace me? And what exactly is your relationship with her? Right now, Ryo Futaba desperately wanted to know. What had the other her told him? What had she done with him? There's no need for so many whys. Ryo shook his head with a smile. Do you not understand yourself? Ryo Futaba froze for a moment. Understand herself? She is you. No matter how different you seem, your fundamental nature remains the same. Ryo explained patiently. She never wanted to replace you. She just wanted to experience life for a while. He shrugged. Of course, you can expose her if you want. That's up to you. Hearing this, Ryo Futaba calmed down. She wasn't planning on exposing her. She was naturally timid, simple, and didn't want things to become complicated. So, you're choosing to give her a chance. Ryo rested his chin on his hands, smiling. Then let's move on to the next topic. Right now, you have nowhere to go. She asked me to help you. I can't do much, but I can at least offer you a place to stay. Whether you accept it or not. It's up to you. Ryo Futaba didn't respond immediately. Instead, she asked another question. What exactly is your relationship with her? Why are you helping me? They weren't even that close. So why? Oh? So that's what you're really curious about. Ryo sighed, then answered frankly, I'm basically pursuing her. That's why I'm looking out for her. Huh? Ryo Futaba was stunned. Pursuing her? The other her? As if worried she hadn't heard correctly, Ryo clarified, you didn't, monsieur. I've already told Ryo Futaba that I'm interested in her. Ryo Futaba's body stiffened. Why? Does he have to say my name for that? Before she could fully process it, a voice interrupted. Gabriel walked over. She glanced at Ryo Futaba, then looked at Ryo. Come with me for a second. I need to talk to you. Saying that, she turned and walked away. Without waiting for a response. Since Ryo had already explained everything, he simply gave Ryo Futaba an apologetic look and stood up to follow Gabriel. Watching Ryo leave, Ryo Futaba didn't know what to think. Chapter 186, Gabriel warning and borrowing again. Ryo Futaba, let's go see my home. In a spot away from prying eyes, Gabriel spoke as soon as Ryo approached. That girl has a problem. I know. Ryo replied casually. She has something called adolescence syndrome. It's not a big deal. Gabriel stared at him deeply. Then, with a sigh, she waved a hand lazily. Whatever. If you think it's fine, then it's fine. I don't care enough to bother. TSK. Ryo chuckled, his tone playful. I thought you were going to ask me for money again. But it turns out you're actually bringing up something serious. That's unexpected. Then again. He smirked. Since you're working a part-time job now, maybe you finally achieved financial freedom and don't need to borrow money anymore? Ugh. Gabriel visibly flinched. Her hands trembled slightly. Financial freedom? If she had that, why would she be working part-time? Ryo noticed her reaction perfectly but acted as if he hadn't. He turned away as if losing interest. If there's nothing else, I'm heading back. Wait. Gabriel suddenly grabbed his sleeve. Rao, still facing away, smirked slightly. He turned back toward her with a raised brow. What is it? Gabriel hesitated for a moment before finally speaking. I want to borrow another 20,000 yen. All right. She couldn't hold out any longer. Part-time jobs were exhausting. The wages were pitiful. Who knew how many years it would take to save enough for the equipment she wanted? But this is the last time. Just this once, and I'll be done. Gabriel tried to convince herself. Unfortunately, she didn't realize. Some things only have two possibilities. 0 times or infinite times. Rao grinned. Sure, no problem. Without hesitation, he pulled out his phone and sent the money. Ding. You have received 20,000 yen? Gabriel blinked, completely confused. Wait. You're not asking me for anything in return? Rao shook his head with a smirk. No rush. I've got things to do right now. We'll discuss our arrangement when I get back tonight. As he spoke, he gently ruffled her hair before turning to leave. Gabriel stood frozen in place, heart pounding. She could already tell. Tonight was going to be hell. By the time Rao returned to Rio Futaba, her previously furrowed brows had relaxed. So? Rao sat down, curious. Have you made a decision? Instead of answering directly, Rio Futaba adjusted her glasses and asked, You seem to understand adolescence syndrome quite well. Can I assume you also know how to cure it? Rao chuckled. That's a bit of a reach. But yes, I do know how to resolve your situation. Then, his tone suddenly shifted. But I don't want to. Is there something I need to do in exchange? Rio Futaba instinctively assumed it was some kind of trade. But Rao shook his head. You're overthinking it. His gaze became serious. I already told you. I like Rio Futaba. So of course, I won't let her disappear. Rather than erasing a version of you that has developed her own consciousness. I'd rather make sure she exists completely in this world. Rio Futaba was stunned. She stared at him, completely speechless. Rao's expression remained firm. You might think this is unfair to you. But the truth is, the one I fell for at first sight was Rio Futaba. Both of you. Upon hearing this, Rio Futaba fell into a long silence. She had really just been confessed to. No. Not just her. Both versions of her. Now she understood why Rao had chosen to help both of them. Taking a deep breath, she responded seriously. I'm sorry. We don't really know each other, so I have to refuse your confession. Haha, that's only natural. Rao didn't mind at all. No matter how well he could read people at first glance, that was just his effort in understanding them. He had no reason to expect someone to like him immediately. Winning someone over takes time. But being the closest one from the start definitely had its advantages. You can just think of me as being one-sidedly infatuated with you. Rao shrugged nonchalantly before bringing up something important. There's something else you should know. If you and the other you ever truly want to do the exact same thing, she will disappear? Rio Futaba's gaze flickered. She didn't understand Rao at all. Didn't you just say you like her? Then why tell me this? If I decide to make her disappear. Rao simply smiled. You still don't understand me. His voice was calm yet filled with confidence. I always prefer direct, straightforward pursuit. And I have full confidence in my abilities. I will never let Rio Futaba disappear from this world. And I always keep my word. There was something unwavering in his eyes. His self-assured tone made Rio Futaba feel a bit envious. Because the Rio Futaba he spoke of was not her. Then, without much hesitation, she suddenly spoke. Rao-kun, please allow me to stay at your place for a while. I will pay you back for it later. Rao raised an eyebrow. I thought after hearing all my shameless words, you'd reject my offer to help. I'm not an idiot. Rio Futaba replied calmly and rationally. Given my current situation, I truly have nowhere to go. And you might be the only person I've met who understands what's happening to me. She adjusted her glasses and continued. As for your help, I will consider it a business trade. I will accept your assistance in exchange for compensation later. Her words were logical, calculated, and well-reasoned. But there was one important thought she didn't say out loud. That was, Rao hadn't hidden anything from her. If Rao were truly a deceptive, untrustworthy man, he could have easily kept important information from her. He could have lied. He could have manipulated her into dependence. But instead, he had laid everything bare. His flirtatious nature, his methods, and even the way to make her other self disappear. It was because of this that Rio Futaba was truly curious about him. She wanted to understand him. She wanted to know. Why did the other version of her trust him so much? On the other side of the table, Rao grinned. A trade, huh? I like that word. After all, trading was his specialty. Hearing someone else bring up the idea first gave him a strong sense of déjà vu. But no need to rush your decision just yet. At least come and check out my place first. Rael stood up. Come on. Let's go see my home. Chapter 187, Trinity 7, Lookalike, etc. Royal Biblia Academy. Outside a classroom with only a few students, a golden twin-tailed girl ran past, holding a camera in hand. Extra. Extra. A new student has arrived at the academy. And they're a Demon King candidate. Her shouts echoed clearly into the classroom, where each student immediately heard her loud and clear. This classroom only had a few students, because everyone here was special. They were members of the legendary Trinity 7. Commander, did you hear that? A tall girl with long black hair and brown eyes grinned, casually slipping an arm around a golden-haired girl with two oj strands beside her. A new student. And they're a Demon King candidate? I wonder how strong they are. I really want to fight them. Her name was Akio Fudo, one of the Trinity 7. Akio Fudo, Archive, Gluttony, Gula, Theme, Faith, Fides, Height, 170 centimeters, Measurements, B82W56H83 Royal Biblia Academy Grimoire Security 3rd Seat. A front-line attacker, skilled in powerful kicks. Possesses the Gluttony Archive, with a Faith theme, and the magic mantra enchant. For mages, the concept of a theme was a fundamental principle. Each mage had a research theme they devoted themselves to. The 7 deadly sins. Wrath, pride, greed, envy, sloth, lust, and gluttony were kept as archives in the library, and each mage selected a corresponding theme. Typically, the theme they chose was the opposite of their nature. The golden-haired girl Akio was hugging was named Myra Yamana. Despite being called Commander, Myra was actually Akio's junior, yet far more composed and level-headed. Myra Yamana, Archive, Pride, Superbia, Theme, Justice, Justita, Height, 152 centimeters, Measurements, B79W55H78 Royal Biblia Academy Grimoire Security Top Seat. Possesses the Pride Archive, with a Justice theme. We don't even know if this information is true yet. Myra remained calm, keeping Akio's excitement in check. If Selena is the one spreading the news, there's a good chance it's accurate. Another girl, with long red hair, a side braid, and a beret, spoke thoughtfully. Her sharp blue eyes gleamed with contemplation. Besides, that black sun that appeared over the academy yesterday was strange. It might be connected to this Demon King candidate. She was Lily Thasami, another member of the Trinity 7. Lily Thasami, Archive, Lust, Luxuria, Theme, Life, Abyss, Height, 162 centimeters Measurements, B89W55H89 A specialist in alchemy and a teacher at the Royal Biblia Academy. A stunning beauty with an incredibly captivating presence. A Demon King candidate, huh? I wonder what kind of trouble they'll bring. Sounds fun. A girl leaning against the back door smirked. Her single brown ponytail, bangs covering one eye, and ninja-like attire gave her an assassin's presence. She was Levi Kazama, another of the Trinity 7. Levi Kazama, Archive, Envy, Invidia, Theme, Expectation, Expect, Height, 148 centimeters, Measurements, B78W54H77 A master of stealth magic and a self-proclaimed ultimate ninja. Possesses the Envy Archive, with a Expectation theme. Incredible speed, assassination skills, and ninja arts expertise. Though the 4 girls were engaged in conversation, only Akio and Myra were genuinely close. The others kept their distance, maintaining a professional camaraderie rather than deep friendships. Until a new presence arrived at the classroom. Hello, everyone. A girl with soft brown hair and a gentle smile greeted them cheerfully, waving politely at the group. The 4 froze, their expressions twisting in confusion. Commander, did I hear that right? Akio tightened her grip on Myra, whispering in disbelief. She actually just smiled and greeted us? I heard it too. Even the normally composed Myra was slightly stunned. Kanazuki-san, did something good happen today? Lilith asked, her blue eyes narrowed in curiosity. Just as the girl, Erin Kanazuki, was about to respond. Shing. A blade flashed. A fierce wind sliced through the air. Before anyone could react, Levi Kazama was already in front of Erin Kanazuki, her unsheathed sword resting against Kanazuki's throat. Levi. What are you doing? Myra demanded, stepping forward. Put your sword down. Lily Thasami was startled and quickly moved to stop her. However, Levi Kazama didn't move an inch. Her eyes remained locked onto the Erin Kanazuki. You're not Erin Kanazuki. Who are you? Huh? Lily Thasami and the others were stunned by Levi's sudden accusation. What shocked them even more was that, at that moment, another figure walked into the classroom, This person looked nearly identical to Hajiri Kasuga. But she was slightly taller. Under the bewildered gazes of everyone in the room, the lookalike walked straight up to Erin Kanazuki and sniffed her. Then, without hesitation, she declared, "You have the scent of a demon king." She paid no attention to the others. Her cold gaze never left Hajiri Kasuga. "Two Kanazuki-sans?" Lilith Asami was dumbfounded. "What is going on? It seems you've all misunderstood something." Black markings spread across Hajiri Kasuga's body. An overwhelming surge of magical power radiated from her. And, before Levi's shocked eyes, a black magic-formed hand forcefully pried her blade away. Then, with a calm smile, Hajiri Kasuga introduced herself. "Everyone, I'm Hajiri Kasuga, the new student. Nice to meet you all." Eh? The others could now feel it clearly. The power within her was that of a demon king's essence. A demon king candidate. The new student. So Selena's extra was true? But why? Why does this new student look exactly like Kanazuki-san? Lilith Asami racked her brain trying to figure it out. Hajiri Kasuga withdrew her magic, then tilted her head, studying the expressionless Erin Kanazuki. Erin Kanazuki, Archive, Wrath, Ira, Theme, Ruin, Ruina, Height, 156 centimeters, Measurements, B83W56H84 has an eerily similar appearance to Hajiri Kasuga. Possesses the Wrath Archive, with the Ruin theme. Uses the magic chaotic rune. We really do look alike. Hajiri Kasuga muttered in amazement, then asked, puzzled. How did you instantly recognize the Demon King's presence? Erin Kanazuki, still emotionless, answered. Because I am the Demon King's consort. Eh? Question mark. Meanwhile, Mai Sakurajima and Tatu gazed at the girl beside Rao with curious expressions. They didn't recognize her. Who is this? Rao introduced her. This is Ryo Futaba. She's also a student at the academy. She's experiencing a problem similar to your puberty syndrome, Mai. She has puberty syndrome too? Mai was surprised. Ryo Futaba, in turn, was curious. She was curious not only about why Rao had two beautiful girls in his home, but also about this Mai girl and what kind of puberty syndrome she had experienced. Anyway, let's introduce ourselves first. Following Rao's lead, everyone exchanged introductions. Ryo Futaba learned about the two girls. Taru. Rao's maid. She did not reveal that she was actually a dragon, Mai Sakurajima. Rao's girlfriend. Wait. Ryo Futaba's mind went blank. So Rao is in a relationship, living with his girlfriend, and yet, he confessed to both her and another version of herself? This isn't just being a flirt. This is next-level scumbag behavior, right? Even someone as emotionally detached as Futaba could tell this was bad. But at the same time, Rao was being so open and honest about it. To the point where she didn't even know how to criticize him. So, she chose to ignore it altogether. I'll just focus on solving my own problem. After hearing about Ryo Futaba's situation, Mai Sakurajima actually felt a sense of camaraderie. I never expected there to be another case of puberty syndrome like this. Your case was really strange too, Mai. Ryo Futaba replied, now deep in thought. You disappeared because you didn't want to be noticed. Let me think of how to explain that using quantum physics. She lowered her head, seriously trying to analyze it scientifically. Q quantum physics? Mai was completely lost. She turned to Rao, hoping for an explanation. Rao shrugged. Don't mind her. She just really likes science. Futaba, why don't you check out the guest room first? You can decide if you want to stay here after that. Alright. Ryo Futaba gave up on her quantum physics calculations for now. Rao led her to a spare bedroom. It was the same room Tatu used before. Now, Tatu and Mai both shared the master bedroom with Rao. Aside from this guest room, there was one more spare room. This room is fine for now. Ryo Futaba evaluated it briefly. For now? Rao raised an eyebrow. Yes. For now. Ryo Futaba pushed up her glasses, speaking seriously. I still need to check if there are any surveillance devices. That's my principle. Wow, you're really cautious. Fine, do as you like. Rao left the room, allowing Ryo Futaba to thoroughly inspect it. Chapter 188, Gabriel Repayment Process. Raphael shock seeing the scene, Ryo Futaba's shock. Rao, why did you let that woman move in? Tatu pouted, looking very unhappy. Dragons are extremely possessive. She had already begrudgingly accepted sharing Rao with others. Now, suddenly, a new vixen had appeared. Even though nothing had happened yet, to her, Ryo Futaba was just a big-chested human vixen. What are you so worried about? Rao soothed her tail while calmly reassuring her. It's not like her being here will stop us from having fun. Toru wasn't actually throwing a tantrum, she was just jealous. But with Rayou's gentle coaxing, her mood instantly improved. Toru was satisfied, but Mai Sakurajima, on the other hand, was not. Wait. You're not saying you'd still do that, even with her here, are you? She turned red, clearly flustered. Even though she had long since gotten used to pleasure, she still couldn't handle the idea of doing such things with a stranger present. But Rayou simply smirked, gently tracing circles in her palm as he whispered. Then Mai, you can just sit back and watch. But don't come running to join in, okay? You. Mai's face turned bright red with anger. Fine. I definitely won't join in. She huffed, feeling like Rayou was seriously underestimating her self-control. Yes. That means tonight, Rayou is all mine. Toru, who had been slightly sulking, immediately perked up. She wanted to go all out tonight. That was the true way of dragons. If she had to share 2 hours with Mai, it just wouldn't be dragon-like enough. Toru. Mai glared at her, wanting to say something. Click. Just then, the guest room door opened. Ryo Futaba walked out, looking completely calm. She had no idea what the three had just been discussing,